A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio. A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Oh, Riley, don't make any plans for a week from tonight.
A week from tonight? Why not, Duncan?
Well, we've been invited to dinner at the Gillises.
Okay, but tell them we can't get there too early because the Life of Riley program is going on 1 hour later starting next week. And you know me, I never miss it.
Oh, it's the life of Riley when Pabst Blue Ribbon you drink. The finest beer served anywhere, so let the glasses clink. Oh, east or west or north or south, there's nothing like it at all. Yes, you're living the life of Riley when for Pabst Blue Ribbon you call. When for Pabst Blue Ribbon you call.
Pabst Blue Ribbon, finest beer served anywhere, proudly presents The Life of Riley, starring William Bendix as Riley. Well, Christmas has come and gone, and the Rileys had barely settled down into their normal routine when the approach of the New Year's Eve brought with it new problems. And knowing Chester A. Riley as we do, we can expect that the birth of a new year will find Riley a very nervous midwife.
Hey, Peg, when's New Year's Eve? Friday?
No, this year it's Saturday. And guess what?
Saturday, huh? Say, Dumplin', this New Year's Eve, let's not go out. Let's just spend a quiet evening home for a change, huh?
For a change? You haven't taken me out on a New Year's Eve in 10 years.
I have so. What about last year? I blew you to a 7-course dinner, didn't I?
Thrifty's 89-cent special.
And afterwards, we had a very entertaining time down on Pershing Square.
Standing on a street corner watching the police arrest jaywalkers is not my idea of entertainment.
Well, you're very hard to please. Anyway, this New Year's Eve...
This New Year's Eve, we're going to a party. The Morrises invited us. It'll be a real nice affair.
Oh, do we have to go? That Hobart Morris is our landlord, and I always got to watch how I insult him.
So we'll still have fun. I don't understand you, Riley. Everybody celebrates New Year's Eve.
Well, I got nothing against celebrating, but that's for youngsters.
Hi, Clarence.
Yeah, a girl like Babs, it's different. But when a woman gets to be your age, Peg...
What do you mean, my age?
Well, 40-ish.
40? Listen, I'm 36, and don't you forget it.
How can I? You've been reminding me for the last 3 years.
Well, what's all the high-pitched conversation? Oh, your father. As usual, he doesn't want to take me out New Year's Eve. Oh, why not, Daddy?
Oh, these New Year's Eve parties are so dull. Just a lot of noise. Everybody waits around for 12 o'clock. Then you sing Old Lang Syne, throw confetti, kiss your wife, and go home.
Well, it's fun.
No, we can have the same fun right here at home. New Year's Eve, wake me up at 12 o'clock. I'll whistle Old Lang Syne, throw a fistful of confetti in your face, kiss you, then I'll roll over and go back to sleep.
You're hopeless.
Oh, but Peg...
Riley, we're going to the Morrises for New Year's Eve.
Okay, I'll go. But I promise you I won't enjoy myself.
Oh, Daddy, you're such an old fogey.
That ain't true. I'm a very young fogey. But it's just that New Year's Eve is for youngsters. Girl like you, if she don't step out New Year's, well, it's pretty near a calamity. And wait, hey, who's your date with this year?
I don't know yet.
You haven't got a date yet?
No, but
You got the sorority dance.
Yes.
And you're chairman of the committee. You got to be there.
Don't get excited. She'll be asked.
But it's only a few days off.
Well, Bob Wilson's dropping in tomorrow night. He'll ask me.
How do you know? Did he say so?
Well, not to me, of course, but Bob told his friend George Thompson, and George told his girlfriend Lucy, and her cousin Trudy has her hair done at Arlene's, and she's my hairdresser, too.
I see. And Arlene told you.
No. You see, Arlene
Never
told
mind. That's enough. Listen, Babs, just to be on the safe side, sometimes a young fellow's shy about asking. Now, I know a good trick. When he gets here, I'll go next door to Gillis's, and I'll phone you, and you pretend that I'm a fellow asking you for a date. And you say, Well, I don't know yet, but I'll let you know. And that'll make...
Riley.
What?
That's enough. Babs will get dates without your help. She doesn't have to use any tricks. Anyway, not stupid tricks like that.
Well, you're a fine one to talk. Where would you be today if your father hadn't used the same stupid trick on me? Hi, Junior.
Oh, hi, Pop.
Your mother home?
No, she went over to Mrs. Gillis's.
I think I'll listen to the news and hit the hay.
Oh, wait a minute, Pop. Don't go in the living room.
Oh, why not?
'Cause Babs is in there with her boyfriend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Tonight's tonight. Hey, I wonder how she's making out.
Pop, you're not going to peek through the keyhole.
Well, of course not. I'm too big. You peek. Tell me what's going on.
Oh, no, Pop. It's not right for a father to spy on his daughter.
Since when are you Babs' father? Go on, peek.
Well, okay, but it isn't right.
Well, you see anything?
I see Babs.
What about the boy?
I can only see his arms.
Where are they? Here, let me look.
Watch it. Babs is coming, huh?
Oh.
Daddy.
Oh, hello, Babs.
What are you doing on your knees?
Okay, Junior, shoot a nickel.
Daddy, you were listening.
Did he ask you yet, Babs?
He will.
He didn't ask you?
Don't worry, he will, I tell you.
Let me go next door and call you up. That'll fit you.
Oh, Daddy, now please don't interfere. I've got to make some coffee for Bob.
10 o'clock and the guy hasn't opened his mouth yet. She'll wind up sitting home New Year's, but not if I can help it.
Oh, Pop, you better not go in there.
Junior, you heard what Babs said. Don't interfere.
Oh, good evening, sir.
Oh, I didn't know anybody was here. Good evening.
I'm Bob Wilson.
I'm Babs' father.
Oh, Babs has told me a lot about you.
Did I say something funny?
No, sir.
Oh. How's your friend George Thompson?
Oh, do you know George? He's fine.
Oh. How's he getting on with his girlfriend, Lucy?
Oh, you know Lucy, too.
Yeah. How's her cousin, Trudy?
Who?
Does she still get her hair done at Arlene's?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, yes, she does.
Well, if you say so, sir.
I haven't seen you around before, have I?
Well, no, I only met Babs last week.
Great little girl, my Babsy.
Yes, sure is.
1 in a million.
Yes.
Not like most girls you meet nowadays. You know the type I mean, those glamour girls, wild, never stay home. Babsy's a real nice, quiet, homely type girl.
She is. She doesn't look it.
Well, don't let her looks fool you. You know what I always say? She's a girl just like the girls that married dear old Dad. I never worry about her for a minute. For instance, she'll probably be going out New Year's. I beg your pardon?
I didn't say anything.
Oh. Well, she'll probably be going out to a dance New Year's Eve with some boy. Well, like I was saying, on New Year's Eve I won't be going through what other fathers go through. You know, pacing up and down the floor, looking at the clock, running up the Mulholland Drive with a flashlight. No, I don't worry about my little Babs. Why should I? She don't smoke, she don't drink, she don't neck. And 12 o'clock sharp, she'll be sound asleep in her bed. That's the kind of a girl she is. You can't go wrong with Babs.
Oh, Beth.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Oh, Daddy, are you in here?
Yeah, I was just chatting with Bob here. Well, I guess I'll be running along. So long, Bob.
Well, I've got to be running, too. So long, Babs.
Oh, but I just made coffee.
Oh, I'm sorry, Babs. I didn't realize it was so late. You see, I have an appointment. Well, I'll be seeing you. Good night.
I told you to use the phone call trick.
Well, I don't understand. When I went out for coffee, he was on the verge of asking me.
Well, I don't understand it either. And after the build-up I gave you.
Build-up?
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
I didn't say nothing wrong. Just told him what a swell girl you are. You don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't neck.
Oh, no. How could you tell him a horrible thing like that?
But it's true.
But you didn't have to tell him. I told you not to interfere. This isn't the first time. You're always driving
Don't cry, Babsy. I can't stand it when people cry. Cut it out.
Mother, you've just got to keep Daddy out of the living room.
Don't worry. I'll get him out of the house the minute he comes home.
This is my last chance. If Monroe doesn't take me, I don't know what I'll do.
Oh, I like Bob better.
So do I, but what can I do?
Well, Monroe's not bad looking.
No, but he's so prim and proper. Sometimes he acts like an old maid.
He does look a little prissy.
I think he's scared of girls.
Well, you better go back in the living room, dear. You shouldn't leave him alone.
Oh, he doesn't mind. He brought a book along with him, in Greek. Now, Mother, you'll see that Daddy doesn't start anything.
I'll handle your father. Now, run along, dear.
Oh, thanks, Mother.
Junior!
Yes, Mom?
Oh, Junior, when your father gets home, don't say anything about Monroe being here.
Okay, Chief, I got you.
Hey!
In the kitchen, Riley.
I'm sorry I'm late for supper.
Oh, that's all right, dear. We're going out for supper.
What's the idea? Today ain't Mother's Day.
Come on.
All right, don't push me. I'll go. Hey, wait a minute. Who's in there?
Nobody.
Well, don't tell me. I hear voices.
Oh, that. It's only Babs and a boyfriend.
Bob, he came back?
No, he didn't. You saw to that. It's another boy.
Oh, so that's why you're trying to get rid of me. You're afraid I'll mess up everything.
Well, what did you do last night?
Now, don't start that again. We went all through that. I admitted I was wrong. Guess I just don't understand the younger generation. But I won't make the same mistake again.
You won't get a chance to. Now, let's go.
All right. Fine thing, a guy gets shoved out of his own house. Anybody can make a mistake. Ain't that right, Junior?
I guess so.
After all, I'm only human, ain't I?
I guess so.
You guess so? What kind of an answer is that? When I ask a question, I want a straight answer, yes or no?
No.
Well, that's better. Wait a minute, no.
Oh, come on. Oh, Riley, where's your tie?
What do I need a tie for? It ain't Sunday.
Well, I'm not going into a restaurant with you looking like a hobo. Now go back and get one. We'll wait here.
Okay.
And don't bother Babs.
My own wife calls me a hobo. Too polite to call me a bum. She didn't call me a bum before we were married, when I really was a bum.
Oh, good evening, sir. I'm Monroe Mayberry.
I'm Bab's father.
Oh? Barbara's told me a lot about you.
Something I can get you?
No, thanks. I just wanted my glasses.
Well, you got them on. You see them in front of your eyes.
I want my reading glasses. They're in my coat here in the hall closet. Oh, dear. Something fell.
Oh, that's all right. I'll get it. Oh, it's only my tuxedo. My wife took it out of mothballs. We're stepping out this New Year's. Nothing like stepping out New Year's. I beg your pardon?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, we're a great family for stepping out, especially my Betsy. Now, there's a gal who likes to step out and paint the town red.
Really, sir? That's odd. Barbara always struck me as being rather on the quiet side. More or less the intellectual type.
Betsy? Intellectual? Why, she hasn't got a brain in her head. She couldn't even read till she was 13. All she cares about is dancing and going to parties. She'll dance you right off your feet. A real live wire. I don't know where that girl gets her energy. She can keep going till all hours of the night. Many's the time when I'm leaving for work in the morning, I meet her coming home. That's the kind of a girl my Betsy is.
Really? I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Monroe, did you find your Why, Daddy, I thought you'd gone.
No, I just came back to get a tie. Here's one. Well, I'll be running along now.
Oh, Monroe, why are you putting on your coat?
Well, I've got to be going, too. I'm terribly sorry, but I just remembered I have an appointment.
Well, now, wait, Monroe.
I really have to go.
No, but-
Good night.
Daddy, you did it again.
No, I didn't say anything wrong. I gave you a big build-up. I told him you were a real glamour girl.
But Monroe can't stand that kind of girl.
Oh? Well, I thought...
Oh, you ruined everything. That was my last chance. Now I'll never get a date for the dance.
But, Betty...
Was that Monroe who just ran down the street? Babsy, what's wrong, dear?
Oh, Mother, he did it again. Oh, Riley. You make me so mad I could...
Now, wait a minute, Peg. Don't you hit me. If you hit me, I'll...
You what?
Okay, hit me.
Why did you have to interfere?
Now, don't cry, Babsy.
I've got to be at that dance.
Can't you go alone?
No, I've got to have an escort.
Well, I know what. I'll be your escort.
I'd rather go alone.
Well, maybe you better. I got to take your mother to the Morris's party.
I'd rather go alone, too.
What a revolting development this is.
Pabst Blue Ribbon will bring you the second act of The Life of Riley in just a moment. And remember, folks, The Life of Riley will come to you 1 hour later, beginning next Friday, January 6th. Remember, next week, 1 hour later. You know, any Pabst Blue Ribbon fan who travels a great deal will talk this way about his favorite beer. I bought a bottle of Pabst Blue Ribbon in Minneapolis, and it tasted just like it always does at home. Had a couple of bottles on the train. Again, that delicious Blue Ribbon taste. Yes, sir, that's one reason I've settled down to Pabst Blue Ribbon. It always tastes exactly the same. Finest beer served. Anywhere. Now, there's a mighty good reason why Pabst Blue Ribbon is so dependable. Every operation in the great Pabst breweries, from grain to bottle, is under Blue Ribbon control. No guesswork, no hit-or-miss methods. Blue Ribbon quality all the way through. That's why more beer drinkers bought Pabst Blue Ribbon in 1949 than ever before in Pabst's 105-year history. Taste it. You'll see why Pabst Blue Ribbon, wherever you go, is called the finest beer served. Anywhere.
You hear it everywhere. Finest beer served anywhere. 33 fine brews blended into one great beer.
And now back to The Life of Riley, starring William Bendix as Riley with Paula Winslow and John Brown.
But Beb said she'd rather go alone.
Nothing doing. She can't go alone to a New Year's Eve dance.
But she's got to be there.
I just won't go without an escort.
Then let me be your escort.
I won't go to a school dance with my father.
Nobody will know I'm your father. They'll think I'm a college boy. I'll get a true haircut.
What do you use for hair?
All right, then they'll think I'm one of your professors.
What do you use for brains?
All right, if they want to know who I am, you tell them I'm one of them GI students.
They won't believe that either.
Tell them I'm from the First World War. Now, look, Babs, you just got to go to that dance. You're on the committee.
I know, but I... Oh, well, I suppose I'll have to. All right, you can take me.
Well, glad that's settled.
It is. Well, what about me? You expect me to go to the Morrises alone?
Well, of course not. You just won't go. Well, I'm glad that's settled.
Now, just a minute. I'm not going to stay home alone on New Year's Eve.
Okay, I'll get somebody to escort you, and I'll join you later. How about going with my friend Gillis?
No, thank you.
No, I don't blame you. I wouldn't go with him either. Let's see, there must be somebody that...
I know.
Huh?
The Morrises said something about inviting Sidney Monahan. I'll ask him to pick me up. Well, I'm glad that's settled.
Now, just a minute. Nothing's settled. You ain't going with Monahan.
Why not? He's taken me out before.
Well, that was when you were single.
Oh, don't tell me you're still jealous of Sidney.
No, I ain't jealous, but I'll pick your escorts. If you like Sidney so much, you should have married him.
Don't think he didn't ask me.
Okay, but you married me, and that's your hard luck. Well, how do I look, Junior? Pretty classy in the tux, huh?
Isn't it a little tight, Pop?
Yeah, it's a perfect fit. Look.
Well, what's making that bulge in your back pockets? Your wallet?
Huh? Oh, no, that's me. Well, I'm all set except for this bow tie. Hey, you know how to make a bow tie?
No, Pop. Gee, the smog smells bad tonight.
There's no smog tonight.
Well, I smell something.
That's me, too. I'm trying out a new hair tonic. Babs!
Oh, what is it, Daddy?
Babs, can you tie a bow tie?
Oh, no, I don't know how. Oh, Junior, shut the window. That smog's really horrible tonight.
That's not smog, that's pop.
That's my new hair tonic.
Daddy, must you?
Yeah, you better hurry up and get ready, Babs. I called a taxi.
Well, I'll be ready.
I gotta get this tie made. Peg! Peg!
What is it, Riley?
Where are you?
In the kitchen.
You should be getting dressed. What are you doing in the kitchen?
I thought I smelled gas.
That ain't gas, Mom.
Keep quiet. Can you tie a bow tie, Peg?
Now, don't bother me, Riley. I got to finish dressing.
Well, see who that is, Junior.
Okay, Pop.
Gotta get this tie right. Who is it, Junior?
It is I, Digby Odell, the friendly undertaker.
Say, Digger, do you know how to make one of these awful bow ties?
Oh, indeed I do.
Yeah?
Let me see now. Right over left. No. Left over right. No.
What's wrong?
Maybe you better lie down.
Do I have to?
No. I've got it. There.
Oh.
You're a picture.
Yeah. Do I look real sharp, Digger?
Sharper than most of the people I've seen lately.
Well, thanks, Digger.
Well, is your dear wife ready?
Yeah, but, look, Digger, I didn't tell her yet that you're going to escort her.
Oh, why not?
Well, no offense intended, but, well, I was afraid that she might not want to go with you. You're not offended, are you, Digger?
Why should I be? Nobody wants to go with me. But believe me, eventually they go.
Well, just a minute, Digger. I'll tell her now. I'll be right back. Peg!
In the bedroom.
Oh. Peg, oh, you're dressed. That's good. Well, he's here.
Who?
Your escort.
Escort? I thought I told
Now,
you
let's not start that again.
I won't go with Gillis.
It's not Gillis.
Well, who is it?
Well, it's,
Hurry up, Riley. As we say in my provision, it is later than you think.
Oh, no. No. Not him.
Well, why not, Peg? He's a sweet guy.
I will not go with an undertaker.
Don't worry, he'll bring you back.
I don't even want to discuss it.
Now, oh, there's my taxi. Now, listen, Peg. I ain't got time to argue with you. I'm helping out Babs, your daughter. So either you go with Digger or you'll have to go alone. And if you don't want to go alone, you'll just have to stay home. It's up to you.
Someone at the door, Riley.
Yeah, I know. Babs, the taxi's here.
Okay, I'm ready.
You call for a taxi, Mr. Riley?
Yeah, Hey, you're that Bob Wilson. You drive a cab?
Yeah, weekends. Helps pay my tuition.
Well, what do you know about that?
Let's go, Daddy.
Babs, look who's here.
Bob Wilson. You've got your nerve showing up here.
Yeah, he's driving the taxi.
Oh, well, let's get another taxi.
No, now look, Babs, as long as he's here.
I said get another taxi.
Yeah, but...
Riley, will you come here a minute?
Yeah, in a minute, Peg. Now, look, Babsy.
I refuse to go in his cab.
But, Babs...
Riley, you come here this minute.
Yeah, I'm coming.
I don't see what you're sore about that.
Oh, you don't, Mr. Wilson. Riley!
I'm coming. Now, Babsy...
I don't wish to discuss it.
Oh, she gets more like her mother every minute.
Riley!
I'm coming!
I'll tell you what I'm sore about, Mr. Wilson.
Women, nothing but trouble. They'll drive me to an early grave.
Please, Riley, this is a holiday. Will you get your dear spouse?
Yes, I'll get her. What is it, Peg?
Next time I call you, you come.
Yeah, well, I had other things on my mind.
Did you tell Mr. Odell I'm not going with him?
Now, Peg, be reasonable.
You better tell him.
I can't do that. I asked him to take you.
I'm not going with him, and that's final.
Now, listen to me, Peg. You go with Digger or you stay home. Ever since we've been married, you told me what to do. You acted like a dictator. But not anymore. I'm giving the orders now. I'm revolting.
You certainly are.
Well, I'm glad you agree. Now, put your coat on and get going.
Riley, it's almost dead.
Yeah, she's coming. Babs, come on, let's go.
Oh, Daddy, you won't have to take me.
Now we'll get... I won't?
No, Bob's taking me. Isn't it wonderful?
But I thought...
Babs explained about the other night.
Oh, Bob, it's getting late.
Yeah, we better go. Oh, I've got to get someone to drive my hack for tonight.
Well, can't you just leave it somewhere?
No, I've got to get a replacement or I'll lose my job.
Well, there must be somebody who'd be glad to help you out, kid.
Well, let's see now. Bill is going out.
Yeah.
Frankie's out of town.
I know.
No. Oh, no. Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, but Daddy...
Now, wait a minute, Bet. Now, there's no use putting that cap on my head. No, sir.
Give him the keys, Bob.
Here you are, Mr. Riley.
Now, just a minute.
You can keep all the tips.
Oh, who's that? Oh, that's for me. Well, good night.
Now, wait a minute, Peg. Wait for Digger. You're going with him.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm coming, Sidney.
You're going with Monahan?
Yes, dear. Happy New Year.
Now, wait a minute, Peg.
Mother, can you give us a lift? Why, sure. Come along.
But, Peg.
Good night, Daddy. Happy New Year.
But, Peg.
Happy New Year, Mr. Riley. Bring the cab here when you're through.
But, Bob.
3 in the morning. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Now, wait, Peg. Come back. This ain't bad.
In just a moment, Riley will return. Who's going to win the Rose Bowl game on New Year's Day? And the Cotton Bowl and the Sugar Bowl? Lots of exciting football broadcasts coming up this weekend. You armchair quarterbacks better be prepared with plenty of Pabst Blue Ribbon cooling on the ice. Lug it home from the store the easy way in the new Pabst Blue Ribbon Handy 6 carton. No clumsy paper bags to carry. Just slip your fingers into the convenient new handle and be on your way with 6 cans of Pabst Blue Ribbon. Finest beers served anywhere. Ask your dealer for the Pabst Handy 6 carton tomorrow.
Too bad Riley isn't here. Oh, they put the lights out.
Happy New Year!
Sidney! Oh, stop that! Oh, how dare you, Sidney Monahan?
Hey, what's the idea?
Oh, Riley, it was you.
Well, sure it's me. You don't think I trust you at 12 o'clock New Year's Eve with Monahan around? Happy New Year, Dublin.
Happy New Year, Riley.
Happy New Year, everybody.
I don't doubt your good intentions, Riley. but-
Mr. Wallington, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution never again to stick my nose in Babs' affairs.
Well, that's fine. And while you're making resolutions, how about resolving to keep that icebox of yours full of Pabst Blue Ribbon in 1950?
Oh, for that I don't need no resolution.
Okay, let's drink to the New Year, Riley.
Okay, with the finest beer served anywhere. Look at that delicious foam. Here's to all you folks, wherever you are. May 1950 bring you happiness, health, and prosperity.
Oh, it's the life of Riley when it's Pabst Blue Ribbon you drink. The finest beer served anywhere, so let the glasses clink. Oh, east or west or north or south, there's nothing like it at all. Yes, you're living the life of Riley when for Pabst Blue Ribbon you call. When for Pabst Blue Ribbon you call.
Pabst Blue Ribbon invites you to join us again next week to hear The Life of Riley, starring William Bendix as Riley. But remember, next week, Friday, January 6th, The Life of Riley 1 hour later. 1 hour later next week. The Life of Riley is produced by Irving Brecker by arrangement with Universal International Pictures, now releasing South Sea Sinner, starring Shelley Winters and MacDonald Carey. Tonight's script is by Reuben Shipp and Alan Lipscott. Direction by Mitch Lindemann. Mrs. Riley is Paula Winslow. Digger Odell is John Brown. Babs is Barbara Eiler. Junior is Bobby Ellis. Consult your local paper for the correct time of The Life of Riley show on television over NBC each week. The Life of Riley is brought to you by the Pabst Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Newark, New Jersey, and Peoria, Illinois. And sent your way with the best wishes of Pabst Blue Ribbon dealers from coast to coast. Jimmy Wallington speaking.
Remember, next week, The Life of Riley will be heard 1 hour later on this station. Next, it's Jimmy Durante with Don Amici on NBC.
From Hollywood, the Screen Directors Playhouse.
Screen Directors Playhouse, star William Powell, production One Way Passage, director Tay Garnett.
The Hollywood Screen Directors present A Prelude to Eternity, the motion picture drama One Way Passage, starring William Powell in his original role of Dan Hardesty, with Peggy Dow as Joan.
I'm a doctor, therefore a sort of scientist, I suppose. And science isn't supposed to be very sentimental or to believe in the kind of happy ending that this story has. Here it is. Make of it what you will. I've got to believe in it. I saw it happen. I suppose as Joan Ames's doctor, I should have kept her away from the excitement of places like the Bar of All Nations back there in Shanghai. But I couldn't bring myself to spoil her wistful fun. Joan was trying so very hard to pack a lot of living into so short a time. Joan had heard the worldly wise man at her elbow order,
Paradise cocktail, please.
She ordered the same, and reaching to pick it up, jostled the man at her elbow.
Oh,
Hey,
here
Mr. Dickens, you...
I'm terribly sorry.
Well, I'm so glad.
It seems I slipped.
We all slip now and then.
But I spilled your drink for you.
We both have some left in our glasses.
Yes, a few drops. Always the most precious.
And I can't imagine a more appropriate time to drink the last few drops of a Paradise cocktail. Here's hoping you get everything your heart desires.
I've got it.
Drink. Thank you.
Me too.
My name's Dan.
Mine's Joan.
Hello, Joan.
Hello, Dan. Goodbye, Dan.
Oh, no, that sounds too ruthless.
I'm sailing tomorrow.
Honolulu?
And then on to San Francisco.
Oh. Well, luck allowed us a little time together anyhow.
It's hail and farewell, Dan.
Listen. Auf Wiedersehen.
That means goodbye, doesn't it?
Joan?
Yes?
Break your glass.
Why?
Do it.
All right.
Now, I break mine. Now, put the stem of your glass across the stem of my glass so it makes a letter X.
Why?
Please.
All right. There. Now, what does it mean?
Well, perhaps X marks the spot where one rare, bright moment was captured.
Perhaps.
Goodbye, Joan. Bon voyage and auf Wiedersehen. Come in.
You rang for ice water, sir?
Yes, just put it down on the... Steve Connell.
I'll reach for your gun, Dan.
You know I don't carry a gun, Steve.
It's too bad you were carrying one that night in San Francisco.
That was different. Someone murdered my best friend, and the law didn't do anything about it.
So you took the law into your own hands.
I'm not sorry.
But you're coming back to San Quentin with me, Dan.
I'm ready.
You killed a man. You gotta pay.
I said I'm ready.
The boat leaves for San Francisco in 1 hour via Honolulu.
Honolulu.
To San Francisco, to San Quentin.
And the death house. Well, I'm still ready, Steve.
Well, we're sailing in 10 minutes, Dan.
Yeah, I wouldn't lean against that rail if I were you, Steve.
I don't get gray hairs about me.
Okay, but if that brass pin comes out of that swinging rail, it'll drop you right in the drink.
And that would break you all up.
Candidly, no.
Well, it won't happen. They broke 3 of my pals the first time you escaped. It isn't going to happen to me. As a matter of fact...
Look out, Steve. There goes the rail.
Hey, let go of me.
Now to swim for it.
Dan.
Swim for it.
Dan, come back.
Yeah, try to catch me.
You pushed me in.
So long, flatfoot.
I can't swim, Dan. Help.
You're lying to me.
No, Dan. Quick, I can't swim. Help.
Oh, okay, Steve. I'm a fool, but I'll get you out.
Look, Dr. Duncan, he's got him. Dan's got him.
Now, take it easy, Joan, please.
Oh, Dan got him just as he was going down. Oh, good for you, Dan. Nice going. There, they've thrown him alive.
That's all there is to it, Joan. Nothing to get excited about.
No, it's all right.
Are you all right? Joan.
Just a little tired. Take me to my stateroom, Doctor. Will you? Thank you, Doctor. I feel much better now.
I've told you, Joan, you must not get excited. You're cutting your months to weeks and your weeks to days.
And my days to hours. But if I remain quietly here in my stateroom and deny myself even the mildest pleasures, I may live to see San Francisco again. Is that it?
You're putting it rather cruelly.
Oh, no. Because I'm going to crowd a lifetime of intense, beautiful happiness into the short time I have left. Even if it is only for a few hours, I mean to have all the living I can lay my hands on. And now, Doctor, I want to find Dan. I want to see if he's all right.
Say, Dan, what is that you're drinking? Perfume?
That's a paradise cocktail, Steve. Half gasoline and half nitric acid.
Oh, a tough guy, huh?
If I was a tough guy, I'd have let you drown today.
No, I'll admit you didn't have to save my life. If you let me drown, you'd be a free man now. I appreciate it.
Well, that's all right. I might ask you a favor sometime.
Oh, yeah? What kind of a favor?
I don't know yet. Oh, will you excuse me, Steve? I just noticed a friend of mine sitting all by herself at a table. I'll see you later, Mr. Connell. Hello, Joan.
Dan. Hello again. Please sit down.
Yeah, perhaps I'd better. This is my third paradise cocktail.
This is my first today.
Ah, a convert.
Shall we say his luck?
Had a long life?
Long enough.
Here's to us, Joan. The only us on Earth. Here's to it, huh?
There you go again.
Break yours, too. And cross the stems. That's it.
X marks the spot where another lovely moment was captured.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, what is it?
Nothing. I'm just very tired, Dan. And very happy.
Well, thanks. I'll take you to your stateroom.
You won't fall overboard again when you're alone, will you?
Oh, not now. I've got too much to lose.
Good. Because it'll be such fun going ashore at Honolulu. Just you and I.
Oh, yes.
Don't you want to?
Indeed I do, Joan, but... Well, I'll have to get rid of Steve.
Steve?
Yeah, my partner. He must stay in the stateroom and work while the ship is docked at Honolulu.
Let me talk to him.
Oh, no. Let me.
Well, here's my stateroom, Dan.
Until tomorrow, Joan. Auf Wiedersehen.
You sure get around, Dan, even on shipboard. Where you been all these days? In the smokestack?
Steve. We dock in Honolulu tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll have to handcuff you to me, you know.
Not tomorrow, Steve.
Any time we're in port.
Except tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going ashore without you.
You're going to make trouble.
Ah, put the gun away, Steve. You wouldn't shoot.
You just don't know me, Dan.
Steve. This girl you've seen me with, she's going ashore tomorrow. I want to be alone with her just for a little, Steve. What do you say?
You just had to save my life, didn't you?
You owe me that, Steve. and I'm going to hold you to it.
All right, Dan.
Thanks.
Remember your manners, Dan.
Thanks, sucker.
I'd never seen Joan so radiant as she went down the gangplank when we docked at Honolulu. And I'd been her doctor for a long time. That young fellow she called Dan was with her. And if he was that good for her, he deserved to be with her.
Dan, I'd be content to stay on this lovely, lonely beach the rest of my life.
Would you, Joan?
Forever.
Joan, would you be content to spend the rest of your life with me?
Oh, very content, darling.
Even in some very far-off, isolated place?
Anywhere and forever.
Darling, that man with me, Steve, he's...
Yes?
Well, he wants me to go to San Francisco with him, but I can't do that. I'm going somewhere else, alone. But wherever I am, wherever you are, I'll send for you.
Oh, no, dear, you won't send for me.
Why not?
Because I'm going with you.
No, Joan, that's impossible.
But I've made up my mind.
But then, there's something that you've got to know.
May I have a cigarette, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Light?
How far that little matchstick throws its beams, so shines a good deed in a naughty world. Or anyhow, something like that. Or maybe I burn my candle at both ends. It will not last the night. But my foes and my friends, it gives a lovely light.
Edna St. Vincent Millay. I'm no dope.
No.
I know this, too. It goes, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
No.
What's the matter?
I know that, too. And I know how it ends.
I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life.
All my life.
And if God choose...
I shall but love thee better after death. You see, Dan, I know it, too.
Oh, Joan. Joan, dearest, what is it?
It is true, Dan. Oh, say it's true.
That I love you, dearest?
And that if God choose...
Yes, I shall but love thee better after death.
Why are you stopping the car?
You must go back to the ship alone.
But what about you?
I can't go back, Joan.
Oh, Dan.
Oh, my dear. Oh. That's right. Close your eyes. Let me hold you close. Joan, you see, you don't know who I really am or what I am. I'm an escaped convict, condemned to die, to hang. Well, now you know. You see, Joan... Joan. What's the matter? Joan. She's fainted. I've got to take her back to the ship.
Listening to the Screen Directors Playhouse presentation of One-Way Passage, starring William Powell in his original role of Dan Hardesty with Peggy Dow as Joan. past 12 months, we of the Screen Directors Playhouse have taken pride in bringing you the very finest in dramatic entertainment. We hope that our record of reuniting fine motion picture stories with their original stars and directors has added much to your listening enjoyment. Now we would like to tell you of greater entertainment to come through your acceptance of our program. Beginning next Friday night, at a time 1 hour earlier, Screen Directors Playhouse becomes associated with one of the greatest names in the entertainment world, R.C.A. Victor. It will be our pleasure on future Fridays to present such great stars and film stories as Claudette Colbert in Tomorrow is Forever, Cary Grant in Mr. Lucky, and Ginger Rogers in It Had to Be You. So remember, next Friday night, 1 hour earlier, when Screen Directors Playhouse presents Jimmy Stewart starring in Magic Town. Now, back to the second act of One Way Passage, starring William Powell.
Joan Ames was deathly pale and still when Dan Hardesty carried her aboard ship that evening. Together we took her to her stateroom. For a day and a half, it was touch and go with Joan. Dan stayed with us or haunted her door for 30 hours without any sleep. And then when she was momentarily out of danger, I asked to talk to Dan in my stateroom.
Is she going to be all right, Doctor?
Yes, for the present.
I didn't know. I understand now. Everything she said.
She survived this attack. She won't survive another. Any excitement, any shock would surely kill her.
But a shock is coming. And through me. I tried to tell her when we were ashore, but she didn't hear me. She'd fainted. She still has to find out that when I get to the States, I'm going to be hanged, Doctor.
Great Scott.
For murder.
Wait, you can't tell her that. That would kill her.
And she'll never know, I promise you.
The Golden Gate, Dan. Isn't it lovely?
San Francisco. Yeah, we'll be in very soon now.
Yes. Oh, it is lovely.
It's ugly.
San Francisco? What's that?
Oh, no, of course not. I mean that pile of stone there on the North Shore.
What is it? A fort?
A San Quentin prison.
Oh, well, I don't like it. Let's talk about nice things, like being together in San Francisco.
Well, I'm afraid I'll have to go to Mexico first on business.
Well, all right. I'll meet you in Mexico.
Joan.
Acapulco, New Year's Eve. How's that?
Well, a lot can happen before then.
Say you'll meet me in Acapulco, New Year's Eve.
All right.
Not enthusiastic enough. You'll have to take me down to the ship's bar and seal the deal with a toast.
A final toast.
Come on, Dan.
Well, Joan, to Acapulco on New Year's Eve.
We have a rendezvous, darling. Acapulco.
New Year's Eve. Now yours, Joan. Across the stems. X marks the spot where a lovely moment was captured. How do I love thee?
Let me count the ways.
Okay, darling.
Okay, darling.
Auf Wiedersehen. Ready, Dan? Oh. Yes, Steve. We're docking. I've some final packing to do, Joan. Be seeing you.
Don't forget.
Coming, Steve. Coming.
And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death.
I stood beside Joan, supporting her lightly as we awaited our turn at the gangplank. Joan kept straining and craning to see Dan, and then all at once she spied him.
There he is, Dr. Duncan. I just want to wave goodbye once more. Dan!
Joan, take it easy. Relax.
Oh, dear, he doesn't hear me. Dan! Doctor.
Are you all right?
He's handcuffed. He's handcuffed to that man, Steve.
Well, I didn't tell you, but you see, Dan happens to be a detective.
Why didn't you tell me?
Well, I was...
Well, why didn't he tell me?
Joan, you're exciting yourself.
Oh, it's the other way around, isn't it? Steve is a detective. He's taking Dan away.
Please, Joan.
I remember now. The way he looked at San Quentin. With death in his eyes. He's going to die. Dan!
Joan, come back!
Dan, wait! Dan, wait for me!
Hold it, Steve. You want to see her? Hide the handcuffs. Stand close and pull down your sleeve.
Dan, darling.
Joan. Not Joan. We said goodbye. We'll meet again.
Oh, I know. But I saw you from the deck.
Joan, you shouldn't have done this.
I had to. I wanted to say goodbye.
But we said goodbye.
I wanted to say it again. Oh, goodbye, Dan.
Goodbye, Joan.
I'll be seeing you.
Let's go, Dan.
Take care of yourself. Oh, Dan!
From the deck, I saw Joan turn half about, fall to her knees. And then the crowd gathered about her, and I dashed down the gangplank to be at her side. Will someone be good enough to call an ambulance? She's dead.
It's time, my son. I'm ready, Father. You will have courage, my son. I will have courage, Father. Shall we go? Remember not, O Lord, we beseech thee, the sins of his youth, nor of his ignorance. But according to thy great mercy, be mindful of him in the greatness of thy glory. Delicta juventutis, et ignorantius eius, quae sumus de menimeres Domini, sed secundum magnum misericordiam tuam memores tuius in gloria caritatis tuae.
Acapulco. It was almost midnight, that solemn moment just before the new year. I stood alone at the bar, having no one to drink with and no patient to take care of, thinking, well, you may very well know what I'd be thinking of that New Year's Eve. And then something happened.
Senor, be more careful, yes?
Careful?
Well, you break the glasses on the bar.
Why, I didn't touch those glasses.
No? Then who, eh?
I looked at the bar, at the shattered remains of two broken cocktail glasses, stem over stem, forming the letter X.
Senor, if you did not break those two glasses, who did? There is no one else here.
That's where you're wrong.
Senor?
Very wrong, indeed.
Next week, another great star brings an outstanding performance to the Screen Directors Playhouse. Our story is Magic Town, and recreating his original role will be Jimmy Stewart. Now, here again is tonight's star, William Powell.
Well, the coming of New Year's always adds a special value to friendship. And today I renewed acquaintance with two very old friends. One is the story you just heard. And the other is the man who directed it so magnificently that after 17 years it was presented to you again tonight. So now I'd like you to meet him, the creator of such fine entertainment as The Postman Always Rings Twice and A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. My director, Tay Garnett.
Thanks, Bill. But you've got to remember I had a lot of help in directing One-Way Passage.
Yeah? From whom, Tay?
Remember how we shot the shipboard scenes aboard an ocean liner off the California coast?
Yes, and sailed round and round in circles for 2 weeks.
Well, there was one seagull that followed the ship. Every time we rehearsed a scene, I watched his reaction. I knew we were ready to film it when he flapped his wings and squawked.
Well, I'm glad the audience didn't react like that.
There was only one trouble. The seagull seemed to get confused during the love scenes.
Don't you know why?
Why?
That seagull was so dizzy from following that ship, he thought I was the leading lady. As for me, Tay, I just watched for your reaction. No actor ever had a finer guide than Tay Garnett behind the cameras.
Thanks very much, Bill. And good night.
Good night, Tay. Good night, everyone.
And good night to you, Tay Garnett and William Powell. Remember next week, Jimmy Stewart on Screen Directors Playhouse, 1 hour earlier. One-Way Passage was presented through the courtesy of Warner Brothers, producers of the Technicolor comedy The Inspector General, starring Danny Kaye. William Powell appeared by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of the Technicolor musical On the Town, starring Gene Kelly, Frank Sinatra, and Betty Garrett. Peggy Dow will soon be seen with Ida Lupino, Howard Duff, and Stephen McNally in Woman in Hiding, a Universal International picture. Tay Garnett is currently directing The Challenge, starring Mickey Rooney and Pat O'Brien. Included in tonight's cast were Peggy Dow as Joan, Stephen Dunn, Ted Von Eltz, John Daner, Don Diamond, and Frank Barton. One-Way Passage was adapted for radio by Milton Geiger, and original music was composed and conducted by William Lava. Screen Directors Playhouse is produced by Howard Wiley with dramatic direction by Bill Karn. This is Jimmy Wallington speaking and inviting you to listen again next week, 1 hour earlier, when we present for RCA Victor...
Screen Directors Playhouse, star Jimmy Stewart, production Magic Town, director William Wellman.
You're tuned for the stars on NBC.
Reel 3. Profile of the passing years. Ladies and gentlemen, in just 24 hours this year in 1949 will come to an end. This is our last program of this year. What lies ahead, no man can tell. But did you ever stop to think that in the past 11 years that this program's been on the air, these have been the most eventful years in world history? Let me show you what I mean. Show you as we go back tonight on this, our last program of this year in 1949, and review the great events that have happened in each of the 11 years since this program first came on the air. We'll begin with the year that this program first began.
1939.
And the big song hit of 39 was...
Somewhere over the rainbow way up high.
Hitler invaded Poland. England and France sprang to Poland's defense. Italy came into the war. The French army stayed behind the Maginot Line. That year, one of the greatest athletes of all time died. His name was Douglas Fairbanks.
1940.
And the big song hit in 1940 was...
I'll never smile again until I smile at you.
France collapsed. The Germans rained bombs on London. Holland, Belgium, Norway, Denmark, they all fell. That was also the year that a former Indiana athlete was nominated for the presidency of the United States. His name was Wendell Willkie.
1941.
The world was in flames, and yet our most popular song of 41 was called...
I don't want to set the world on fire.
The Nazis rolled into the Balkans. Rommel was victorious in Africa. The British lifeline was threatened at Suez. The Allies were losing the war. And that was also the year that a great American baseball star died. His name was Lou Gehrig.
1942.
In 42, we were all singing.
I left my heart at the stage door canteen.
The Japs had bombed Pearl Harbor. We were in it now, up to our ears. The German armies were pounding at Stalingrad. And that same year, an American girl who'd made another girl into America's tennis champion was killed. Her name was Carole Lombard.
1943.
Remember the hit song of that year, As Time Goes By?
You must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh.
Convoys were streaming across the Atlantic. D-Day was coming. Our Navy was turning the tide of battle. That year, an American sportsman was found alive on a life raft out in the Pacific. His name was Eddie Rickenbacker.
1944.
That year, 1944, Kate Smith had everybody singing.
God bless America, land that I love.
America had delivered the goods. We were bombing Germany. General MacArthur had stopped the Japs. The Allies were on the march everywhere. And that year, America's greatest polo player was killed. His name was Tommy Hitchcock.
1945.
People everywhere that year in America were singing.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
Germany's last desperate gamble was on. Then Germany surrendered. Japan surrendered. And yet we celebrated amid tears. For that year, a great champion died. A man who hadn't been a champion in any sport. And yet he was the greatest champion that sports have ever had. His name was Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
1946.
And the big song hit of 46 was...
Dream when you're feeling blue. Dream, that's the thing to do.
Peace was here, the United Nations was born, and yet on Christmas Day of that year, a day of joy, many were sad. For that day, a man who began in sports and ended in comedy had died. His name was W.C. Fields.
1947.
Surely you remember 1947's great song hit.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know.
Russia began devouring small nations. America took her stand against communism. The Marshall Plan was born. And that year, a great prize fighter died in the ring. His name was Benny Leonard.
1948.
And our big song hit of last year was...
I'd love to get you on a slow boat to China.
Russia blockaded Berlin. Harry Truman won a great victory at the polls. And last year, the greatest baseball player of all time passed away. His name was Babe Ruth.
1949.
And this year we sang...
Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger.
This year, a famous racehorse kicked himself to death in a plane over the Atlantic Ocean. Auto crashes killed America's racing driver Rex Mays, injured American golf champion Ben Hogan. Marcel Cerdan, the former middleweight champion of the world, was killed in a plane crash.
Acquaintance be forgot.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Memories of the great events that have happened during the past 11 years since this program first came on the air. Reviewed on this, our last program of this year of 1949. Reel 4, Arthur Gary.
If you have a problem beard and you can't get a really clean, smooth, comfortable shave, switch to Colgate Brushless Shaving Cream. It's one shave cream that really fixes tough whiskers, smooths and sweetens your shave, and leaves your face feeling truly comfortable. Let Bill Stern tell you why.
Because it's light and fine textured, Colgate Brushless completely surrounds, softens, and supports each bristle, better than greasy, heavy creams. There's no matting down, no clogging. Your razor doesn't skid or skip when you use Colgate Brushless. Instead, it cuts through, clean and smooth. Get a large or giant-sized tube or jar of Colgate Brushless Shaving Cream. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the 3-0 mark for tonight. Tonight I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Texas, getting ready to broadcast the New Year's Day Cotton Bowl football game between Rice and North Carolina. Next Friday night, we'll be back same time, same stations from Hollywood, California, where our guest will be the famous motion picture star, Mr. George Raft. See you then. And until then, I'll be seeing you on the screen in the News of the Day newsreels at your favorite Lowe's or Associated Theaters. Now, till next Friday night at this very same time, when we'll be greeting you from Hollywood, California, with George Raft as our guest, this is Bill Stern wishing you all a good night from Dallas, Texas.
Colgate Shave Cream and the Stern is on the air. Colgate Shave Cream and the Stern with stories rare. Somebody Bill's advice and you'll look so keen. You'll have a face that's both smooth and clean. Colgate Shave Cream and Bill Stern.
I was up the coast with 2 murders behind me. Telling all to a nice white-haired old lady when the clock struck 12.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The House That Jacqueline Built.
Say the end of an old year and the start of a new is a good time to take stock. To stand back and give yourself the once-over. Do a reissue on that tired list of resolutions. But for a private detective, that routine only means tallying up the times you've dirtied your hands on someone else's murder or dirtied your brain with their schemes. So you let the hide on your heart grow a little thicker and pull the part of your mind that feels things a little farther back into its shell. And maybe plan on later hunting up a cup of kindness or two someplace. But even that has a price tag on it these days. So there was work to do and a fee to collect before I could pick up the tab on an evening's fun.
Hey, you're a detective?
That's not a fair question. Won't you sit down?
That's fantastic. I tell you, I'm going crazy with this horrible trick of fate.
What's the matter? What's going
The
on?
house, it's gone. It's vanished.
What
And
house?
all the papers with it, years of research, months of grueling work in the jungles, volumes of preciousness, all gone. Whisked away from the very heart of a teeming city, an entire house.
Now, look, if you just sit down and tell me who you
I
are,
have no object. I must have action. I must locate.
Who are you?
Professor Felix Piper.
What's all this talk about jungles and research?
Botanical research, tropical herbs in South America, years of it all for nothing now because the house has disappeared.
Look, you said that several times. Now, look,
You investigate things. You've had experience. I want to hire you now. I go to where a house should be, a house in which I myself have stood. And what do I find? A vacant lot, a hole in the ground. And all I would...
Professor, take it easy. Here, come on over to the couch and lie down. Take it easy, will you?
I will, thank you. Oh, I'll bear it. It's all been such a shock. Oh, Stuyvesant's sudden death. The long trip to get our papers and then to find the house gone.
Yeah, I know. Now, look, if you just lie there a few minutes until you feel better, we'll start over. A little closer to the beginning.
That's all right.
Oh, Professor, what's the matter? What's happened here?
Well, today the house has disappeared, and the professor's collapsed trying to tell me about it, and Oh. Who are you?
I'm Professor Piper's assistant.
What do you assist him with?
Stephanie, oh, I'm glad you got here. Yes, don't worry. It's nothing. I'll be all right. But let's not waste any more time. You've got to find out what happened to that house.
Please, Professor Piper, don't excite yourself. Let me explain to the detective.
Marlowe, Philip Marlowe.
I'm Stephanie Fraser.
Hello.
Please, the house died into the paper.
All right, Professor, all right. Mr. Marlowe, I presume we got as far as telling you that for over a year we've been in South America, in the interior of Brazil, studying tropical herbs.
Yeah, part of that got in there somewhere, I think.
Yes, of course it did. Tell him about the house.
One step at a time, Felix.
Now, look, Professor, I've got something here that'll do you the world of good. Me, too, I think. Now, try this. Take your time about it.
Yes, I will.
Mr. Marlowe, could I speak to you in the other room for a moment?
Of course.
I'll be right back, Mr. Piper.
Yes, but hurry.
Volatile, isn't he?
Yes, but a brilliant partner. As I was saying, Mr. Marlowe, we've been almost completely out of touch with civilization for over a year.
Really? You'd never know it.
Beauty products before miracles. Please, Mr. Marlowe, let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
Professor Piper's collaborator and partner, Maxwell Stuyvesant, caught fever and died 3 weeks ago.
Where was this?
Brazil.
Where the nuts come from? Nothing, huh?
Look, Mr. Marlowe, they had worked together for years, and all their notes and papers were kept stored at Stuyvesant's place here in Los Angeles. We came here to get that material.
And the house was gone.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Certainly is.
We all thought Maxwell Stuyvesant's wife, Catherine, was living in it. She owned it.
In her name?
Yes. Maxwell actually owned nothing. He didn't want to. He was gone all the time.
That didn't sit too well with Catherine, huh?
Right. She wanted Stuyvesant to stay home, and he always promised her that someday he would, and they'd live a happy life together. But, well, she was a young woman, impatient, I guess.
Yeah. Where's she now?
Well, one of the neighbors, an old woman, said she thought she remembered hearing that Catherine went to Nebraska.
Nebraska? Oh.
And that's all we know. Professor Piper and I are stumped. We came to you because we want action and want it fast. Will you help us?
Well, the whole year's been screwy. There's no reason why this should bother me. Tracking a runaway resident through the metropolitan wilds of Los Angeles didn't sound so tough. So after Stephanie gave me the address 8840 on Orange Drive and told me that she and the professor could be reached at Villa 3 in the Worcester Garden, I got in my car and drove out Orange Drive to where a house numbered 8840 should have been. I found that said house had been moved out 6 months ago. And in the middle of the night, too. But where, why, or who had done the job, nobody knew. Until I got around to a Mrs. Elma Lathrop, whose house backed the Stuyvesant place from across the alley. She blocked her front door with a waistline and said she'd never heard of Rye Crisp. Gave me an eye as warm and as sympathetic as an ice cube.
Remember that? Huh. I should have to tell you I remember. Craziest thing I ever saw. Them men working all day and all night, getting that little house up on rollers and out of there. I'd like to know what all the rush was about.
So would I. You wouldn't happen to know where they took it, huh?
No, I wouldn't. That Catherine Stuyvesant wasn't a very sociable type person. But if that's the way she wants to be, it's all right with me.
That's good. Now, look, I don't suppose you'd know who she sold it to.
Nope.
What company did the moving?
Oh, wouldn't I, though? It's the Gilligan Wrecking and Moving Company, and believe you me, the name fits. Them clumsy oxes. In such a rush, they backed a big truck over my pomegranate tree. A beautiful, full-grown tree in the pink of health. Did I make them pay?
I'll bet.
Now, you listen.
Have I a choice?
I tracked that outfit down and made them shell out through the nose for that. Was I burned?
Well, bully for you. Now, look, where is the Gilligan Outfit's office, Mrs. Lathrop?
At Adams and Rampart Street. 410 Rampart.
410, huh?
But say, what's going on anyway? Why are you asking me all these questions?
Well, frankly, I'm a pomegranate fancier myself, Mrs. Lathrop. Happy New Year.
You want something?
Yeah, this is 410 Rampart, isn't it?
That's correct.
Well, your sign outside says Blukman's Novelties. Are you one of them?
Ashtrays, paperweights,
Okay.
bronze, silver baby.
Okay, honey, okay. Now, look, I'm looking for the Gilligan Wrecking and Moving Company. I was told they had this place 6 months ago.
That's right. But they're out of business now. They went broke last September. Boss left town in a hurry.
How do you like that?
Not much. Mr. Gilligan owed everybody wages, including my boyfriend. He used to work for Mr. Gilligan. That's how we met Bat.
Bat?
They were moving out as we moved in. It's a small world, huh?
Getting smaller all the time. Now, look, I'd like to talk to your boyfriend, Miss,
Bessie.
Bessie.
Well, Bat lives real close to here. The Beekman Room.
Oh, thanks, Bessie. What's Bat's last name?
Bottenschlag.
Who?
Bottenschlag.
Yeah, anybody'd know that.
Well, you better just call him Bat.
All right.
And, tell him to drive around, will you?
I wish I was a tender apple blossom or sunshine.
I wonder who wrote those lyrics.
I wish it was the sunshine and rain. Who is it?
Name's Marlowe. I want some dope on a job the Gilligan Company did, Bat.
All right, just a minute.
Well, how did you get to me?
Bessie. By the way, she said for you to drop around.
Oh, yeah? Dumb dame. Don't I every night? Come on in, buddy. Excuse the robe. I was in the shower.
Sure. Now, look, Bat, were you working for Gilligan 6 months ago?
Yeah, why?
You remember moving a house from 8840 Orange Drive?
8840 Orange Drive.
Yeah.
Let's see now. Oh, yeah, that one, too. That was the screwiest deal I ever saw.
Where'd you move it to, do you remember?
All the way to San Pedro. Big hurry-up job. The boss kept saying we were racing the weather. Nobody could figure it.
Racing the weather? Why?
That beats me. We set the house off down at the end of Front Street in the Harbor Salvage Company yard.
Harbor Salvage in San Pedro, huh? Tell me, Bat, was the house empty?
Well, certainly. You don't think
No, Bat. I mean the furniture.
Oh. Well, why? What's all the fuss?
Well, some people are interested in locating that house.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's too bad.
How come?
Oh, I got a big hunch it didn't sit very long where we left it, buddy. The Pacific Ocean was only 6 inches from the back door.
I'm beating eyes, mate. What's on your mind?
Well, if you're the head man of Harvard Salvage Company, a house is on my mind.
That's me. But I don't want any more house jobs. I did one this year, and that's plenty.
6 months ago, house delivered by Gilligan?
That's it, mate. And I did a masterpiece, if I do say so myself. Sure wouldn't chance it again, though. Too shifty.
Never mind your career. What happened to that house?
What happened? Why, I loaded it on that old woman's barge.
What old woman?
As I was saying, I loaded it on that old woman's barge, battened her down, ship shape in the last 2 days of good sailing weather, and sent her out to sea.
You mean that house left here on a barge?
Ah, that it did, mate. Bound for the Golden Gate in the upper arm of San Francisco Bay.
Oh, fine.
Little shrimp fishing town in the backwater there called Wilson. If I remember right, it's on San Pablo Bay, about 15 miles north of Berkeley.
Now, do you mind telling me who the old woman was who owned that barge, Nias?
Not a bit. Kindly old soul she was, named Jacqueline Beatty. Went aboard with the house and waved goodbye from the front door. She pulled out. All smiles, too. What's the matter, son? You look like a deckhand who's lost his sea legs.
What had started 3 short hours ago as a checkup on an L.A. resident had evolved itself into a chase up the coast after a houseboat, which was a project I distinctly did not want to jump into without first a nod from my client. In fact, I was ready to scuttle the whole business. So I found the phone and called Villa 3 at the Wilshire Gardens.
Yeah, hello. Hello.
That you, Matthews?
Yes.
This is Marlowe.
Oh, hiya, Phil. What can I do for you? But make it snappy, will you? I'm up to my ears. Hey, wait a minute. Phil, look, you called up here expecting someone else to answer, didn't you? Who?
A guy named Felix Piper, maybe.
Nice fit. What's the connection?
Client, what's this?
Ex-client, Marlowe. He's it. Somebody
Huh?
attacked him. Yeah, with a knife. A very fancy knife, like some Indians in Brazil use, the boy told me.
Oh.
You better drop in here. Where are you now?
San Pedro.
What are you doing down there?
Yeah, well, you wouldn't believe it, Matthews. Really, you wouldn't.
See if we can get all of that fella out now.
Okay.
Oh, hello, Marlowe.
Hiya, Matthews. Any progress?
Too soon. Anyway, I'm counting on you for that. Come on inside, have a look.
Okay. When did it happen?
A couple hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was his Dodge, anyway? We found a club membership card lists him as a botanist. True?
Yeah, as far as I know. Spent a lot of time in research in Brazil.
Where the nuts come from?
Nothing.
Oh. Well, there's your client, Phil. Professor Felix Piper, and somebody nailed him right between the shoulders.
Hey, Matthews. Something's awful haywire.
What do you mean?
That's not the man who hired me.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, one fellow who made a New Year's resolution years ago not to get married certainly saw it blow up with a bang a couple of weeks ago. A fellow by the name of Andy of Amos and Andy opened his mouth at the wrong moment, and there he was, married to the wrong woman. Listen for Amos and Andy's Bride on most of these same CBS stations tomorrow night. Now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The House That Jacqueline Built.
When I told Detective Lieutenant Matthews that the crumpled form at our feet identified as Felix Piper, and the Felix Piper who had hired me were not one and the same, he arched a single eyebrow slowly. When I told him the rest of the story, both eyebrows practically leaped from his forehead. So all in all, it was 30 minutes of steady gab, my solemn word that what I had said was nothing but the truth, and a blunt reminder that a private detective's license is revocable before I was free to go back to my apartment on Franklin, while the police went to work. That made it exactly 4 p.m. when, key in hand, I reached my front door lock, just as it swung in and away from me.
Come in, Mr. Marlowe.
Wow, the globe-trotting Stephanie. How'd my place ever get on your map, baby?
Please, don't Joe come in.
Thank you. Lovely apartment you've got here.
Mr. Marlowe, please, this is no time to be funny.
Why not? Everything else plays funny. Your lost L.A. house turns up floating on the outskirts of San Francisco.
What?
A screwball botanist from South America who's maybe also a killer wants a bunch of hocus
Also
pocus
a
papers.
killer. What do you mean, Mr. Marlowe? Felix Piper didn't kill Corday.
Corday. That's his name, huh? You get around, don't you, kid?
Yes, Martin Corday. He was on the floor of my villa when I got back. That's why I came here. The janitor left me.
Yeah,
and I thought I
let's not change the subject. This Corday, who is he? Or was he?
Scheming, ruthless man we knew in South America. An importer.
Wait a minute. An importer wants a botanist paper? Come on, baby. Tell me the truth.
Mr. Marlowe, there are no papers.
Oh, that's great. You mean that all this about the house is phony, make-believe?
No, it's true.
But?
But no papers. Only jewels.
Oh, no.
Rubies, Mr. Marlowe. In a little pouch. $30,000 worth hidden in the house.
Where in the house?
The fireplace. Behind a brick somewhere on the right-hand side. You see, those rubies belong to Felix and that Maxwell Stuyvesant I mentioned. Now they belong to Felix alone. It was for their old age.
The expression's nest egg.
So they could carry on their work.
Hmm.
You don't believe me?
No, not quite, no. And for two very valid reasons. One, why'd you lie in the first place and say it was papers?
Because we didn't know if we could trust you.
And now with a man dead, you have to, is that it?
No, I don't have to, but I do trust you, Mr. Marlowe.
It may not be mutual, Stephanie.
What do you mean?
Well, if I buy all this, the jewels, Piper and Stuyvesant's unique retirement plan, Corday posing as Piper to some way cut in, there's a new hooker.
Which is what?
Corday is murderer. It should now be you or Felix Piper.
No.
Then who?
Corday's partner. A swarthy-looking little man. I don't know his name. I last saw him with Corday in South America. You see, the original plan was that I come up here ahead of Felix. But he was too anxious. He couldn't wait. He followed almost at once.
So?
So, somehow or other, Corday and this swarthy man found out about our plans and decided that Corday should pose as Felix and as for their scheme.
And what?
Well, there must have been a double cross. Corday probably trying to do away with the swarthy man, but getting done away with himself instead.
Where's Felix Piper now?
In a second-rate hotel on Santa Monica.
Phone number there, do you know it?
Phone number? Yes, I have it right here in my suit.
All right.
Crestview 8 something. Yes, here. Crestview 84144.
4144. Okay, here, you talk to him, Stephanie. My nerves won't take the chatter.
What should I tell him? Mr. Felix Piper, please.
Now, tell him for the time being we're going to skip the police. But you and I are going up to San Francisco on the next plane and then out to a place called Wilson to look for a houseboat. No less rubies. Yeah, also tell him to meet us up there at the Crystal Auto Court. You got that? It's a place I've stayed at a little beyond Berkeley. On the road to San Pablo Bay.
All right. Stephanie, Felix. One moment.
Yeah. Tell him to stay clear of swarthy men tonight. Especially small ones. They're dangerous. It was 2 hours and 30 minutes later when Stephanie and I drove into the quiet fishing village of Wilson on San Pablo Bay that hugged the bend of the sloping shoreline like it was afraid of falling in. Our best bet for information would be the local gas emporium. So I drove my rented car in at a round-shouldered one-pump station. Something freckled and gangling with a shock of flame for hair pulled himself out of it, then arms and legs working independently, wobbled over, braced himself against the car.
Gas or just information, folks. Don't be ashamed. Everybody from out of town gets lost in Wilson. It's so big.
Made it funny. Look, if that's the case, we'll loan up right away, Red. We're looking for a houseboat.
Yes. Well, then you better try the water.
This boy kills himself, doesn't he? Look, Red, we're in a hurry. This houseboat belonged to a lady named Jacqueline Beatty. No more jokes, huh?
Yeah, don't worry. There's nothing funny about that. Screwy old widow. Believe me, she's sad.
Sad? Why?
Well, about 6 months ago, she took every cent she had, went down to L.A., bought a house and bought a barge, and put them both together and come back here.
To do what?
To sit. To do nothing. All day and all night long. She never leaves.
You know why?
Nope. Neither does nobody else. Except that her husband was an artist, painted sea pictures, so she likes it around the water. But she's nuts, I tell you. Acts like the place is... Well, acts like it's made of gold.
Gold?
Now, look, Red, tell me, how do I get there? We're reporters from L.A. doing a story on her place.
Oh, newspaper people, huh?
Yeah, reporters usually are, boy.
Well, that's different. Smart aleck. It's 1 block straight ahead, then right, and down to the bay.
Thanks, Red. Happy New Year.
Yeah, it sure is.
John went ahead and 3 right and were down to where the town and the bay trickled up to meet one another. We saw it. A white three-room cottage afloat surrounded by fishing boats and assorted barges. The front door opened at our knock. Not Tugboat Annie, nor the scraggly pioneer woman, rifle-cradled in bony arms. Just anybody's grandmother, and under a white lace shawl at that.
Yes, sir. Can I help you?
Well, yeah, I believe so. You're Mrs. Beatty, huh?
That's right. Mrs. Jacqueline Beatty.
Oh, well, I'm Philip Marlowe. Mrs. Beatty, this is Miss Stephanie Fraser.
How do you do?
We're reporters from L.A.
Reporters?
We were going through Wilson here when we heard about your houseboat and how you brought it all the way up from Los Angeles.
You had a particular reason for wanting this house, Mrs. Beatty?
Oh, my, yes.
What was that?
Well, that's a long, long story, my boy.
I see. Well, tell me, Mrs. Beatty, the house is exactly as it was in Los Angeles, huh?
Oh, to a T, Mr. Marlowe. Would you like to see it?
Oh, yes, we'd love to.
Fine. Then, shall we say lunch tomorrow?
Well, Mrs. Beatty, we're on our way back to Los Angeles now, tonight.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
But, well, you see, I simply have to tidy up some before company. Well, perhaps another time.
Well, I think lunch tomorrow will be splendid, Mrs. Beatty.
Of course.
Good. Then until midday tomorrow, we'll have a buffet for the three of us in front of the fireplace. Good night, Miss Fraser.
Good night.
Mr. Marlowe.
Good night, Mrs. Beatty.
Well, is it just a sweet old lady?
I don't know.
But when will we?
Well, about midday tomorrow. Come on, let's get back to the Crystal Auto Court and your boss. Felix Piper out and alone is a combination that worries me plenty.
No, Mr. Marlowe. Mr. Piper hasn't shown yet, but he should any minute now. He called a half hour ago from someplace in Berkeley and said he was coming out here in a taxi. Well, now, let's see. A single cabin for Miss Fraser here, number 6. And a double, number 11, for you and Mr. Piper. Right, Mr. Marlowe?
Yes, that's right, Mr. Crystal.
Okay. Now, Miss Fraser, if you'll come along with me, I'll show you the way. Be back in a minute, Mr. Marlowe.
I'll just tidy up Phil. Then I'll come back here and wait with you for Felix. I'm so worried.
Yeah, I know. He'll be all right once he's with us.
I hope so, Phil.
Oh, Mr. Crystal, can I call L.A. on this phone here?
Oh, sure, Mr. Marlowe. Long distance is 110.
Operator. Yeah, I want to call a Los Angeles person-to-person. Party I want is Detective Lieutenant... What? Delay. Oh, yeah, New Year's Eve. Well, look, honey, I'd like to put the call through anyway. Never mind.
Marlowe! Over there! Near the big tree! He got away, Mr. Marlowe. And he killed her. It was a man.
Get hold of yourself, Crystal. What did he look like? Crystal! Take it easy, fella. Hold on tight. Did you see him? Was he small, swarthy?
I'm not sure, Mr. Marlowe.
Think, Crystal, think. What did he look like?
Well, he was kind of short. Maybe swarthy. It was also fast. I couldn't tell.
All right. Come on away from us. We'll go back to your office. Now, listen to me carefully. You phone the police. I'm going to a houseboat on the San Pablo Bay where I think we'll find a small, swarthy man. We'll push a nice old lady around without batting an eye.
But why?
About $30,000 worth of rubies. After I'd met Felix Piper and told him what had happened to Stephanie and brought him up to date on everything else, I slammed my right foot down hard on the accelerator and kept it that way until we were back at San Pablo Bay out of the car and running toward Jacqueline Beatty's houseboat, where I figured the swarthy man who seemed to know every move might show. But there I was wrong, because Jacqueline was all alone, safe and sound and surprised.
Why, Mr. Marlowe, you weren't expected till midday tomorrow. And that girl, isn't
But she won't be with us, I'm afraid, Mrs. Beatty.
By the way, we're not reporters, Mrs. Beatty. The lady in question is dead. And so is another man.
Oh.
And all because of $30,000 worth of rubies in a pouch that's behind one of the bricks in that fireplace.
Yes, and I'm going to find them right away. They've got to be here. This poker should sound them out in a hurry, yes. What's that, Phil?
Mrs. Beatty.
We've been too long.
The news of these rubies doesn't seem to surprise you.
What is it, Mr. Marlowe?
A hunch, Mrs. Beatty. Get out of the way.
A gun.
Yeah. For a man named Corday.
What is it, Marlowe? What did you say?
Corday. As in Martin Corday, and it looks like I was right.
Yes. It may not do you any good. My shoulder.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe, is he going to die?
Not until the state gets its hands on him. You see, Mrs. Beatty, he's killed twice tonight, right, Corday? Come on, if you want an ambulance, talk.
Yeah, they had it coming on. The Stuyvesant was double-crossed by Piper on his deathbed. Stuyvesant wanted the rubies to go to his wife, Catherine.
Hold it, Mrs. Beatty. Go on, Corday. The real Piper was a crook, huh? Decided to get the jewels himself, is that it?
Yes, but he was also dumb. No. Stephanie, his secretary, crossed him for a pretty deal with me. It was all her idea. Going to you for help with me posing as Piper.
Go on.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe.
Go on, Corday.
Yes, Stephanie decided to double-cross me.
After you stabbed the real Piper because he got up to L.A. in your villa sooner than expected, huh?
Yes, but she couldn't cross me. I was following her all the time.
She didn't phone you from my place?
No. I was outside your door then, and she was talking to a number she made up. You're lucky you handed her the phone when you did. If you hadn't, she would have shot you. It was all lies. The swarthy man included. There isn't one.
Mr. Marlowe, he's...
Just unconscious, Mrs. Beatty. I'll get an ambulance.
Yes, hurry. I'll show you where the phone is.
Yeah. After you tell me about the jewels, huh? The rubies, Mrs. Beatty. Your lack of surprise about them being hid in the fireplace, I mean. How come?
Well, I found those 6 months ago when I bought this house from Catherine Stuyvesant in Los Angeles. By the way, Mr. Marlowe, how did you know that man was Corday?
Fireplace, honey. He went to the wrong side. It was worth a shot in the dark.
Well, the phone's over there. You know, I noticed the loose brick on the right-hand side of the fireplace the moment I walked in. You see, I built this house with my own hands.
Really? Why'd you move it up here, honey?
Because my husband and I spent our honeymoon in this house. And we found our happiness here at San Pablo.
Oh. You also found the rubies and sent them back to Catherine Stuyvesant?
Yes, Mr. Marlowe. Well, Happy New Year, Mr. Marlowe.
Happy New Year, Jacqueline. By the time I said goodbye to Jacqueline and walked outside, the first sun of 1950 was glinting across the waters of the bay. 1950. Another chance for Marlowe and for the world. I hope we both do better with it this year.
Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character, star Gerald Moore, are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald and are written for radio by Robert Mitchell and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Lois Corbett, Howard McNear, Georgia Ellis, John Daner, and Parley Bear. Detective Lieutenant Matthews is played by Larry Dobkin. The special music is composed and conducted by Richard Orant. Be sure to be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
This time each carried a torch, and each was burned by it. The heel, the hero worshiper, and the hard-bitten blonde. And all because of a woman already 2 days dead.
Broadway's My Beat. From Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway, it's a time and a place and a state of mind where you bang your head against a wall so the lights will be brighter, the noise is louder, thereby furnishing proof that you're enjoying yourself. And at holiday season, you bang your head harder and conjure up visions, the new year, the new promises, the golden girl who will smile to you from the crowd and beckon. It could happen. It's Broadway, my beat. There's a place on Broadway. It nudges onto Columbus Circle and calls itself the Dover Hotel, then retires into its own faded respectability. At 8 o'clock of a cold weekday morning, Broadway walks past it on its way to work. So was I when a man darted out of its doorway, saw me, darted some more, and tugged at my sleeve. He said he knew me, knew I was a policeman, and that's what he needed. So then we were in an elevator, and he said his name was... What did you say your name was?
Box, Louis Box.
Well, just what seems to be your trouble, Mr. Box?
I said to myself, Mr. Box, there's trouble in room 812. Big trouble. Oh, very big, Mr. Clover. He won't answer. He won't let Mr. Box in.
He won't? Who won't? Who won't, Mr. Box?
The guest in 812, right this way, Mr. Clover, right down the hall. Every time I open my door, he throws a bottle at Mr. Box's head.
Has he hit Mr. Box?
3 times, here and here and here. This is your room. Mr. Box will unlock the door for you.
Now you'll go back to your desk and Mr. Clover will go in.
Very well, but just be careful of those bottles. He always aims at Mr. Box's head.
Yeah, don't worry. All right, you. Hey, what are you... Put down that bottle. I said put it down. It's better. Now tell me what's so funny.
It's funny, mister. The funniest thing, look, it's all here in this paper. Go ahead, mister. Read it for yourself.
Yeah. Hey, this paper's 2 days old.
Sure it is. On account I got it 2 days ago. Go ahead. Read that obituary right where I'm pointing.
John Lomax, victim of hit-and-run accident, was buried today at the Queen Cemetery. He was survived by his wife, Martha
Lomax of 36 Darcy Place. I called for a drink. I'm Lomax, mister. I'm John Lomax.
Huh?
Sure. And Martha's my wife. Look, I'll tell you about it.
I'm looking. Tell me.
4 nights ago. Yeah, it was 4 nights ago when whoever was supposed to be me was hit and run. I went to a Turkish bath. You know.
So you had a bath, so?
So they stole my overcoat and they stole my wallet. Rolled me. But I was too smart for them.
Yeah, you sure were. How were you too smart for them?
I had some money rolled up in my shirt sleeve. Kick I learned in the Navy. Enough to pay for booze in this crummy room. I called for another drink.
How long have you been here?
Since then, I saw the papers. I've been laughing ever since.
Why don't you go home?
I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
I think my wife is happy I'm dead. Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Mr. Lomax. Hey, Mr. Lomax. A grinning mask of foolish delight and motley bliss arranged itself on the face of John Lomax. And having so arranged itself, Mr. Lomax proceeded to fall flat on same. John Lomax had been hilarious because another man died bearing his name and identity. So much happiness over the dead makes me curious. So I went up to the home of John Lomax in Queens. It was like every other home on the block. Even the cracks in the stucco were identically placed. But what made the Lomax home different was it had a different number over its doorbell.
Yes?
Mrs. Lomax? This is John Lomax?
Yes.
I'm Danny Clover of the police, Mrs. Lomax.
Police?
Now, don't be frightened, Mrs. Lomax.
Well, come in, Mr. Clover. Please come in.
Thank you.
Oh, I pick up these things. The woman's pajamas look so lost just lying on a chair. Here, sit here, Mr. Clover.
Thanks. It's about your husband, Mrs. Lomax.
What?
When did you see him last?
Forgive me, Mr. Clover, but I don't quite understand what you're driving at. My husband is dead. We buried him 2 days ago.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Lomax. I'm sorry. It's just that... Well, how are you sure it was your husband who died?
What? Oh, you mean because he was so badly smashed up in the accident? I knew him because it was his wallet they found on the dead man. And John's overcoat.
Maybe that wasn't enough. Maybe it was someone else.
It wasn't. I know because there was a card in the coat advertising the Baghdad baths. John always went there for days on end instead of home.
What did your husband look like, Mrs. Lomax? Do you have a picture of him I could see?
I'm afraid not. After the funeral, I tore up every picture of John and me that was in the house. John was dead. And it was done. Can you understand that?
Will you describe him to me? I mean a physical description. Coloring, weight.
John was 5'11". He had a paunch. I mean, he weighed about 180 pounds. He was overweight. He had thin, sandy hair and kind of faded blue eyes. And a kind of funny, loose face.
That's...
What?
Mrs. Lomax, there's something...
Oh.
Hi, Martha, I got the papers. You missed me, doll? Oh, who?
Paul, this is Mr. Danny Clover of the police department. He was asking about John.
What do you want to know about John Lomax and why?
Mrs. Lomax, you haven't introduced me to your friend.
Oh, how silly of me. I was so flustered when Paul just walked in without knocking or anything.
You gave me the key so I could run out for the papers, remember, Doc?
Oh, of course. I thought it would be simpler that way. This is Paul Rand, Mr. Clover. A very talented pianist. A sort of protege of John and me.
Of you, doll. I'm sorry I haven't the mood to play something for you, Mr. Clover. So you'll tell me instead what there is about John Lomax you're bothering Martha about.
Yeah, I'll tell you, protege. There's a drunk in the Dover Hotel who says he's John Lomax, and he says John Lomax is not dead, never did die. You think maybe he's lying?
Of course he's lying. My husband is dead. Isn't he, Paul?
Yeah, sure, doll. Dead. What are you building, policeman? Who are you going to believe, a drunk or a widow? Get out of here. Leave her alone.
The look on their faces was like a motion picture you watch where suddenly the action is frozen and still. A boy, maybe 24, with an animal's hard grace, the lips drawn tight away from his teeth, the eyes wary and stagnant. And the woman, more mature, gentler, almost pretty. But in her eyes, nothing she wants you to see. A telephone directory gives you the address of the Baghdad Baths, so you go there because you have to sweat out some questions on a man who says he's John Lomax and not deceased. You walk up 3 flights of a dank building on 9th Avenue, and there's a dank card that says Baghdad Baths, Ephraim Sabo, proprietor, Waldo Toklas, proprietor. You walk in, ask for Ephraim or Waldo of a receptionist who's beating her eyelashes, and she winks you back to the steam room. Hey, Ephraim. Hey, Waldo. Maybe you better come out. It's the police, Ephraim. Or is it Waldo?
It's Ephraim and the cat come out. I'm naked.
Put on a towel and come out.
You off-duty, policeman? Well, you come to the right place. Nothing like Baghdad Baths to draw out of a man what's bothering him.
Yeah, I bet. Ephraim, you know a man named John Lomax?
Know him well. John Lomax used to come here every weekend. Like for his pores to feel good. Hasn't been here lately, though.
Maybe because you rolled him. Stole his overcoat and wallet.
You from the police, you say?
That's what I said.
Yeah, we rolled him. Stole those things. But then Waldo stole them from me.
Your partner? Where is he?
Disappeared. Walked out of here with Mr. Lomax's belongings, which belonged to me by squatter's rights. He disappeared.
How long has he been gone?
4 or 5 days. For all I care, he could have dropped dead because he sinned against me.
I got news for you, Ephraim. He may have done just that.
Waldo? Dropped dead? When?
4 or 5 days ago, maybe. Hit and run, maybe.
You mean Waldo was in an accident?
Maybe.
Why didn't I know about it? I'm all he's got.
Because he sinned and stole another man's overcoat and wallet. So he was buried under an assumed name, maybe. John Lomax, maybe.
Maybe. Maybe you ain't sure.
Maybe I ain't. I'm sure of one thing. You sinned, too. Ephraim?
Uh-huh.
Change that towel for something more formal. We're going for a ride.
Danny, you're coming in late this morning. It's 11:30 in the a.m.
All right, come in here, Tataglia.
Yeah, Danny.
Shut the door.
Yeah, sure. Oh, what's up, then?
A riddle is up. A guy is killed in a hit-and-run accident, identified as John Lomax, buried as John Lomax. Now, I'm not sure he's John Lomax.
Hey, that's a good riddle.
Yeah, it gets better. There's a guy sleeping it off at the Dover Hotel who says he's John Lomax.
He does? Who? Who does, Danny?
Taglia, you know what I'd do if I were sergeant?
Oh, yeah, Danny, sure. If you were a sergeant, you would send an order for the exhumation of the body of the first-mentioned Lomax, the dead Lomax.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd do. Do it.
Yeah, sure, Danny, sure. What are you going to do on account of you're a lieutenant?
I'm going to dig up a live man who calls himself Lomax. I want to introduce him to a woman who calls herself his widow.
So I said to myself, Mr. Box, this man has indeed some pride left after all.
Yeah, what made Mr. Box say that?
Because the guest in 812 took a shower a few minutes ago. That's a good sign on New Year's Eve. Mr. Box is happy for him.
I'll take the elevator back down, Mr. Box. I'll find my way to 812 myself. Mr. Lomax. Come on, Lomax. Open the door. Lomax.
Break it down! Break down the door!
Yeah. I can't. I've got a key. Come on, come on. Come on.
You caught Mr. Box?
Give me your pass key.
You what?
Give me the key.
Of course, here you are. Oh, wait for Mr. Box.
Lomax. Lomax, it's Danny Clover.
Did he do it, Mr. Clover? Did he turn over a new leaf? My goodness, what's that fire escape window doing open, letting in that cold
window.
air?
Mr. Box, now you can say to yourself, you can say, a murderer threw a man out of a window in my hotel.
Listening to Broadway's My Beat, starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. $53,000 in cold hard cash and wonderful prizes. What a wonderful ending that would be to the old year. Well, Sing It Again is coming along with all that in the jackpot tonight, and some smart CBS listener can knock it off by solving the Phantom Voice riddle. Sing It Again is heard on most of these same CBS stations. So a $53,000 Happy New Year, maybe. Happy New Year anyway, for Sing It Again is heard every Saturday night.
On the happy holidays, Broadway wears the happy clothes, complete with happy masks. The wooden barriers are up in the shop windows, and Broadway's herd stampedes down the long alley. The dust it raises is confetti. Whirlwinds of confetti, bursts of confetti that explode and play like marvelous fountains. The jewels of light they reflect is the light of neon and Mazdas. There's a Mazda police headquarters, too. It casts a veil of yellow light, and it hangs in the long concrete hallway that leads to the morgue. When the sergeant speaks, it makes a cold echo.
Now, Danny.
Okay, Tartaglia. Ephraim?
My, that's neat. Could use something like that down at Baghdad Baths. Slide 'em in, then slide 'em out when they're done. $5, please. Shouldn't make no quips in here, should I?
Who is this man, Ephraim?
It's a little hard to tell. Could be John Lomax. Same who used to habituate my sweat baths. Same he and Waldo stole from. The same John Lomax who'd drink more so he could perspire more. Could be. Hey, you fellas come up with Waldo yet?
Take Ephraim out of here, Tartaglia, and send Mrs. Lomax in.
Yeah, Danny, sure. Come on, Ephraim. Hey, look, did you say that these baths are really good for the system?
Ain't nothing like them, kiddo.
Why did you have me brought here, Mr. Clover?
I want you to identify a man. A man who was murdered. A man who once told me you were his wife. Is that the man? You tell me, Mrs. Lomax.
I never saw him before in my life. There is a kind of resemblance, but I never saw him. I don't understand why you want to torture me, Mr. Clover.
You say this man is not your husband?
No. Please, Mr. Clover. Please take me out of here.
All right. Mrs. Lomax, did your husband carry insurance?
Is that going to help you find out who ran down my husband?
Maybe. I don't know.
My lawyer is handling all that. Harold Quillen in the Kraft building. He is a lawyer. He answers rude questions. Why don't you ask them of him?
Yeah, I'll do that, Mrs. Lomax. You can go home now. It didn't wear well, her casual way of considering the insurance, for example. Things like insurance need worrying about. How else can a helpless widow buy her daily needs, whatever were her daily needs? That's why I'm a policeman. I can't get my mind off details like that. They tweak me, and I need to know answers. So I went to the lawyer named Harold Quillen and asked for some cooperation.
Why don't you stop bothering that poor woman, Mr. Clover?
Well, I'm not bothering her, Mr. Quillen. It's you. And as far as I can see, we're just chatting. Isn't that what we're doing? Well, isn't that what we're doing? Answer me.
Oh, does my rocking in this swivel chair annoy you? I find it restful. Rhythmic. Restful.
When was the last time you were disbarred for non-cooperation, Quillen?
Come now.
Look, friend. I know it's your job to protect your client. That's my job, too. To protect Mrs. John Lomax, and she needs protecting. From my nasty little mind that makes me think sometimes that everybody's a potential murderer. You, me, everybody.
But I don't
and
see...
since Mrs. John Lomax is pretty close to what's a murder, my nasty little mind makes her pretty close to being a murderer. How much insurance did her husband carry?
$50,000.
For accidental death?
I was just coming to that. Double indemnity for accidental death. As a corpse, Mr. Lomax is worth exactly $100,000.
A man who is not loved gets killed, and it pays double to his loved one. And $100,000 can buy a lot of things. Can buy back the lost years. A woman can buy them back by getting herself a protege, a boy who can do things with a piano. A boy who can make a woman remember she was once a girl. What all that money bought me was a trip back to Queens, to a house like all other houses on the block, even to not having a mourning wreath on its door. But from this particular house came the sound of big music.
Oh, it's the police again. You know, I can't get it out of my mind you're a door-to-door salesman. Ever in that line of work, Mr. Clover?
This is Lomax. I want to talk to her.
What about? You can tell me. I'm her friend. I get her the morning papers, remember? So talk to me.
Mrs. Lomax.
Go away like the rain. Come again some other day.
Mrs. Lomax.
Mrs. Lomax is not in, Mr. Clover. Sorry, Mr. Clover.
Oh, I changed my mind. I'll talk to you, Paul. I came all the way out here, so I might as well talk to somebody.
Come in. Come in, Mr. Clover.
Thanks.
You sure you were never a salesman? That foot in the door gimmick, very professional.
Yeah, I studied.
I told you she's not home. But you don't have to believe that if you don't want to, like you're not believing it now. Look in this closet, policeman. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe she's in here, huh? No, not in here.
Tell me about Martha and you, Paul.
Gladly. Can I tell you the music? I feel better with music. It makes me polite.
Yeah, if it makes you polite.
The romance of Paul and Martha. That's music, like this.
The big musical romance. When did it begin?
Someplace in time, someplace in space.
I'm a square, Paul. I don't understand big talk like that. What month? What year? That's what I understand.
The month? May. What else? Merry, merry month. The year, 1949. Hey, is it still 1949, policeman?
And her husband. When did she tell you about him?
This husband fella? Martha told me he existed, but I never had the pleasure of making his acquaintance. Charming setup, huh?
You never met your patron?
No. Oh, pity. I was going to be so brave and noble and 100% fellow when I met him.
Yeah, I can tell you're a prince.
Sure, tune. That's what Martha calls me sometimes. Yeah, I was going to tell the old John boy, the deluded husband, who it was deluding him.
Yeah, but you never got the chance.
No. The dope gets himself killed in an accident before I can release him.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul, for the music. For just being you.
You know the way out, huh?
Hi, Danny. What'd you find out?
Maybe a motive. Just maybe. See.
Hey, wait a minute, Danny. Don't you want the report on the exhumation?
Yeah, tell it to me.
Well, the prints check with those that are on file on an application for a permit for the Baghdad Bats, made out to one Waldo Tuckless.
Yeah, the drunk was right.
Yeah. Oh, Danny, you got a visitor in your office.
Oh? Who?
Mrs. Lomax. Well, ain't you surprised, Danny?
I'm not surprised at all.
Hello, Mr. Clover.
Mrs. Lomax. You know, Mrs. Lomax, I was just telling Sergeant Tartaglia. I was just telling him I'm not surprised at all.
About what?
Your being here. If you're here to tell me you killed your husband, that'll make two coincidences all at once.
Mr. Clover, you didn't mean what you just said. That's cruel.
That's one of the words they use about violent death. I can even attend it to the death of Waldo Tuckless.
Who?
Waldo Tuckless, a petty thief who also ran a Turkish bath. It goes like this, Mrs. Lomax. Waldo stole your husband's coat and wallet. In the dark, he was run down by a hit-and-run driver, by someone who thought it was your husband, someone who wanted your husband dead.
No, it wasn't like that. Not like that. That's why I came here to tell you. I'm frightened, Mr. Clover. Frightened.
Your upper lip didn't even quiver down there in the morning. Why didn't you tell me then? That was your husband, wasn't it? The dead man downstairs. Why didn't you tell me then?
I'm frightened. Don't you see? Sick. Was frightened.
Of whom? Me, Sergeant Tartaglia, your conscience, the pianist, Paul Rand? Which?
Paul.
I just looked around the room. He's not here. Tell me all about Paul Rand.
Paul killed Waldo Tuckless. Ran over him. From the way Tuckless was dressed, he thought it was my husband.
Did he say pardon me after he killed him?
Stop it! Stop it! He didn't know. Not until you told him my husband was alive at that hotel. So Paul went there and killed my husband.
You sound glad. Cold. But if you're unemotional about a man's dying, you're glad he's dead.
My husband was a heel. But I didn't kill him. I didn't. I thought it really was an accident until Paul told me what he'd done. Oh, Paul. Paul.
Start with Paul and go on from there.
Paul, he's a killer. He enjoys killing. I'm frightened. Don't you understand? He enjoys it. If he knew I were here, he'd...
Maybe he would. I think we'll go ask him.
Where have you been, Martha?
Paul.
If you tilt your head backward, Paul, you'll notice company. Me.
Oh, it's you again, Clover.
Now, don't bite your lip. You're dreaming this whole thing.
Paul, Oh, Paul.
Come on, doll. What are you trying to say?
This. She's made an honest effort to say you're a killer.
That's what, huh?
Yeah. I'm piecing it all together, and I come up with this. You killed Waldo Tuckless. Mistake. You killed John Lomax. No mistake. Reason, a widow with $100,000. Reason for you to be a killer.
Right, as the saying goes, as rain. Martha probably said I didn't mind it either, huh?
Something like that.
That's why I can get dreamy about pointing this gun at you.
You don't have to. I'm not finished talking.
You're finished. Unless your next sentence starts with a prayer, you're just about done.
I'd point that gun at Martha to be smarter.
Rush me, Clover. That way you can die in action.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that.
Crazy woman. You're crazy.
That's good. Paul's dead. That's good. He needed to be dead.
Yeah, give me that gun, Mrs. Lomax.
Oh, here. Take it. I'm afraid of it. I don't know where I got the courage to pull the trigger.
Emotions, Mrs. Lomax. Sometimes they get the better of us and they make us pull the trigger one way or another.
But don't.
All right, I won't. I wasn't going to.
You weren't? For saving your life?
Did you do that? If you did, that's what you were thinking about when you had emotions. Thanks.
But I shot him because... Because...
Why?
Don't you see? Of course you do. I shot him because he was going to kill you.
That's your version. I've got one.
Don't you have to call your office, report this or something? Paul's dead, you know.
He'll stay that way. Don't be frightened. Not of Paul. Of me.
Of you?
Because you gave it all away.
Gave away what? What are you saying?
About Paul, the promises you must have made to him for killing your husband. Whatever kind of love you promised him. Whatever share of $100,000. Things like that.
You knew all the time.
Just recently, when I found out the man you identified as your husband was Waldo Toklas. When Paul told me he never met your husband.
But he didn't.
Of course he didn't. So you had to tell him how your husband was dressed so he could kill him with a car. That would include the coat he was wearing. It was like that, Mrs. Lomax.
Yes. Look.
Hey, get away from that door.
Don't worry, I'm not going to run away. It's the new year, Mr. Clover. It's a time for wishing good things.
Some people do.
You want to know my wish, Mr. Clover?
It won't come true if you tell me.
I know it won't anyhow. But it's this. I wish there was some way, Mr. Clover, it would make my new year a happy one. If there was some way I could kill you.
Broadway's knocking itself to pieces. The celebrants with the funny hats lean out of the windows of the Astor and drop paper cups on the celebrants with the tin horns. There's laughter and crowd and holiday and swirl and the fine thing, the glance and the words. A Happy New Year. And means it. The Avenue means it with its heart. It happens once a year on Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway. My beat.
Broadway's My Beat stars Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover and is written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. The musical score was arranged by Alexander Courage and conducted by Wilbur Hatch, and our pianist was Sam Furman. The program was produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. The cast tonight included Charles Calvert, Jeanette Nolan, Jay Novello, Leo Penn, Fred Howard, Bob Bruce, and Barton Yarborough. Now stay tuned for Sing It Again, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. Joe Walters speaking. This is CBS, where you find Broadway's My Beat every Saturday night, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Portions of the following program are transcribed. Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
Is this the Diamond Detective Agency?
Well, what does the sign on the door say?
Yeah, the Diamond Detective Agency.
And take a guess.
Are you Mr. Richard Diamond?
It depends. How much does he owe you?
Nothing.
You just want to speak to him?
I do.
You come as a client?
Yes, I do.
You have $100 a day in expenses?
Yeah, I do.
Then I now pronounce this man and client. Your name, please?
My name's Thomas Jason.
The stockbroker? You better pay cash.
Oh, I'm retired now, Mr. Diamond. And to end this nonsense, here's your $100.
Oh, thank you. Now, what's your trouble?
It's Carol, my adopted daughter. We adopted her when she was 12, but my wife died shortly after. Frankly, Carol has been trouble ever since.
And now?
Now, I'm afraid it is no longer a matter of delinquency. Well, there have been several incidents that make me suspect that she's trying to do away with me.
Oh, sweet girl. What's her reason?
My money. In my will, she is my only heir.
Why not change the will?
I said I suspected her, but I'm not certain, Mr. Diamond. And you understand, it would be terrible to disinherit her if I am wrong about my suspicions. I simply must be sure before I change my will.
She have any idea of your suspicion?
Yes. This morning I did speak to her. It mentioned the possibility of cutting her from my will. She flew into a rage, made several terrible threats.
Oh? What do you want me to do?
I want you to...
Oh, excuse me. Diamond Detective Agency, we have the only corpse with the lie-down design.
Oh, Rick. Why don't you answer the phone right?
Okay, Helen, baby. Diamond Detective Agency, Mr. Richard Diamond speaking.
What?
See, it throws you.
Mr. Diamond.
Honey, I'll see you tonight. I got a client.
She?
He.
Good.
Bye. You were saying, Mr. Jason, before I was so nicely interrupted.
Yes, I want you to either prove my fears to be true or groundless. If I am right, I will change my will, of course.
Where do I start?
Come to my house at 3 this afternoon. Here's the address. I'll introduce you to my stepdaughter, Carol, as a business acquaintance. After you've met and talked with her, I'll give you what details I have about her threats and actions.
Okay, Mr. Jason, I'll be at your place at 3 this afternoon.
Good day, Mr. Diamond.
I checked the time and found it to be nearly 12, so I beat it out to grab a bite of food before the noon rush began. Cafes in downtown Manhattan at lunchtime can only be compared to a can of sardines after all their relatives move in. When I had downed my daily bread, I went back to the office, did a little washing, and found myself with still time to kill. So being interested in my new client's problems and always liking a clear view of a new case, I dropped in at the 5th Precinct to see what Lieutenant Levison had on the Jason family. When I walked into the squad room, I found Sergeant Otis tilted back in his chair with his number 14s crossed on the desk in front of him. From the sounds he was making, he was either sleeping or gargling with molasses. Sergeant Otis.
Oh, boy.
Sergeant Otis.
Calm down.
Otis, wake up.
Oh, it's you, Chalmers.
Patrol Leader Diamond with his stout-hearted brownies who were shocked by your dreams. Shame on you.
Hey, how'd you know I was dreaming about a dame?
I peeked. You know, I think I'll tell the lieutenant that you were sleeping on the job.
Well, no, please don't do that, Chalmers. You'll start me pounding the beat again. Please don't tell him.
Well, maybe I'll let you off the hook, but only if you tell Walt we're pals. That might stop him from giving me the devil about ribbing you.
Pals? You mean friends?
Buddies.
Oh, no, I couldn't stand it.
Hello, Walt.
Okay, so where's the body?
Nobody. You lost one?
Now, you stop that.
Well, get you. All bad because I can't find a body for you.
Oh, please, Rick. What do you want?
I just wanted any dope you might have on the Thomas Jason family.
Jason?
Yeah, the broker.
Oh, nothing on him, but plenty on his stepdaughter, Carol.
Like what?
Oh, she's a regular. Usually D&D, drunk driving, disturbing the peace. You want to see the file?
Yeah, it might be worth a look. Have my pal, Otis, bring it in.
Sure, up.
You what? My pal. What did you know? Otis and I are friends.
Is that why he tries to hide under the desk every time he sees you coming?
Call him in, see for yourself.
You think I won't? Otis, get the file on Carol Jason. Bring it in here.
Yeah, Lieutenant.
Now we'll see. Friend, that's a laugh.
It's a laugh yourself. You better be feeling good.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
You'll see.
Yeah, Lieutenant, here's the file.
I'll take it, Otis. Thank you very much.
Sergeant Otis, you have an opportunity to do me a great favor. Please, and without profanity, tell me what you think of Rick.
Oh, he's nice.
What?
You're turning blue, Walt.
I'll turn blue if I want to. What did you do to Otis? Dope him?
You heard him. He thinks I'm nice. We're pals, buddies.
I heard him all right, but I wouldn't believe it on the stack of police manuals. Otis, I'll give you one chance. What's this all about?
The shamus told you, Lieutenant. I think he's a swell egg. A great guy.
Thank you, Otis, my friend.
Always kidding, but a good pal.
Otis, do your feet ache?
My faith. Why, no, Lieutenant.
Well, they will. I'm sending you to a beat.
A beat?
Yes, in Yonkers.
Oh, no!
I went through the file on Carol Jason and found out Walt hadn't been kidding. She'd been picked up for everything from kicking dogs to slugging her boyfriend with a champagne bottle. Real nice girl. I left Walt trying to third-degree the truth out of Otis and headed for what I hoped would be a nice, easy case. In a few minutes, I was in front of my client, Jason's house on East 66th Street. It turned out to be a modest little shack of some 30 rooms with a brownstone cover. I was ushered in to wait in the library for Thomas Jason. But I got a surprise.
Mr. Diamond?
Well, now, I bet you're Carol. Your stepfather's told me so much about you.
You're a friend of my stepfather's?
Well, you might say we have things in common. Where is he?
I'm afraid you can't see him, Mr. Diamond. You see, he's become quite ill.
Oh, ill so quickly? I talked to him a few hours ago. He's about as sickly as Paul Bunyan.
Mr. Diamond, will you please leave?
Not until you tell me what happened to Jason, where he is, and why I can't see him.
Get out. Do you hear me? Get out.
Oh, put a cork in it, honey. Your father suspected trouble. Apparently it came quicker than he thought. Me, I want to know all your little secrets.
Just who are you? Policeman?
Private policeman, dear. Your father hired me this morning.
Well, I'm firing you this afternoon. Father's ill, and I will not allow him to be disturbed.
He paid me for a day's work. Tomorrow you can fire me. Is he here?
No. Now, will you get out, or do I call the real police?
Oh, maybe you'd better, dear. There's a smell around here that isn't a room full of roses.
All right. If it's going to save trouble, I will tell you this much. Father had a serious mental condition. This afternoon, a couple of hours ago, he had an attack. And I was forced to have him taken to a place where he could be treated properly.
With what? Embalming fluid?
Why, you insulting.
Where was he taken? Who's the doctor?
I think I've answered all the questions I need to, Mr. Diamond. My actions are entirely legal. If you persist in your insinuations, I shall see that your license is revoked and that you are charged with defamation of character.
Oh, get you. You've been reading up on the law, and I'll bet I know why. All right, dear. I'll leave now.
Go on and don't come back.
Temper, temper, temper. I'm going, but we'll see each other again. Hello, Pop. Got a minute?
Yeah, you reckon so, mister? What's on your mind?
Old questions. Like how long you been out here mowing the lawn?
Most of the day. Why?
Did you see Mr. Jason leave?
Well, sure. Left in an ambulance, he did. He was wearing a funny white coat with the arms tied in back. My fashion certainly changed.
You didn't notice any name on the ambulance, did you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I did, mister. Oh, that was a silly name. About the silliest I've ever heard of.
Oh, the name, Pop. What was it?
Oh, don't be in such a dang rush. It was Home Sweet Home Rest Home. No, ain't that silly?
I don't think my client agrees with you. If he was taken there for a rest, it may be a permanent one. Next stop, a drugstore with a phone book. Said book gave me the address, and I was soon in Baychester looking at something pretty swank in the way of nut houses. Home Sweet Home was 2 acres of lawn, trees, and a square white blockhouse, and all surrounded by 15 feet of spiked steel fencing. By this time, the setup was really beginning to smell, and I decided that maybe a shamus might not be welcome. So for a moment, I stood by the big gate debating how I could get in. The answer was fairly simple. I rang the bell. It caused a huge character wearing a white jacket and with arms like hairy telephone poles to appear.
Yeah? What can I do for you, mister?
Let me in.
Why?
This is a rest home, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I want to rest.
Oh, funny. Beat it.
I want to speak to the doctor, King Kong. Is he in?
Maybe, maybe not. Who wants him?
I do.
Who are you?
Let's just say I'm a patient. You going to keep me out here dying of schizophrenia?
Dr. Thorne is busy now. Come back later.
Look, in 1 minute I start throwing fits. Think how that'll ruin your trade.
Yeah, the doc wouldn't like that. Maybe you had better come in.
Now, that's right neighborly of you, friend. Wow. Nice place.
For nuts?
Please. I'm a patient, remember?
So, if you're a nut, I should care. If you ain't, why should you?
Now, that's a homely bit of philosophy. Tell me, what do you do here? Break skulls?
I don't think I like you. And I'm a nurse.
What a shock this will be to Dr. Kildare.
I don't know him.
No, you wouldn't. His nurses are pretty. If he had to have you as a nurse, he'd quit medicine and take up playing the glockenspiel.
Ellie, you're nuts. Wait here. I get the doctor.
Yes, nurse.
Dr. Thorne, you got a patient, I think.
All right, Brazo. I am Dr. Thorne, sir. What can I do for you?
He's nuts, Doc.
Be quiet, Brazo.
Oh, he's right, Doc. I'm nuttier than a squirrel's hideout.
Well, I'm afraid I can be of no assistance, Mr.
Promise you won't tell?
Did I promise?
I am Sherlock Holmes.
What?
H-O-L.
I can spell. I'm afraid you've come to the wrong place, Mr. Holmes. This is a private sanitarium, and certain procedures must be followed.
I have money, I can pay, and I want to stay here.
But, Mr. Holmes, you must be examined by a doctor and committed by a relative.
You're a doctor. Examine me.
But your relative. You can't commit yourself.
Why not? I demand my rights.
Oh, this is preposterous. This is not a hotel. You can't just come in and register. Tell me, who's your doctor? Where is your home?
Well, look. Tell you what. You let me stay here for the day, and I'll tell you who my doctor is. And if you don't let me stay, I'll tell everyone what a bad place you have.
You said something about having money. Just how much money?
I've got a mattress full. Can I stay?
Perhaps it can be arranged. Though, of course, I must examine you.
Of course.
And there will be a certain fee, you understand?
I'm beginning to.
Tell me, Mr.
H-O-L.
Stop! You certainly are most annoying. Tell me, why do you want to stay here anyway?
Well, I've got to stop the plot.
The plot? You know about that?
Sure. You plan to rub out Fearless Fosdick, but I'm not going to let you.
Oh, I see. Tell me, do you have any dreams?
Well, of course. I have dreams about eating ice cream cones, and oh, what a mess they are.
What's so messy about eating an ice cream cone?
My mouth is always filled with BBs.
BBs?
For my air rifle, stupid. How else could I stand off the Indians?
Well, what Indians?
Well, the Indians who want to steal my ice cream cones.
Now, why would Indians want your ice cream cones?
Oh, they're mad about pistachio.
You are crazy, aren't you? Brazo, take Mr.
H-O-L.
Oh, never mind. Take him to observation room B, Brazo. I don't have time for the examination now.
Wait, can't I be with the other patients? I get lonely.
Later.
Come on, Sherlock. This way.
Well, I was in, thanks to the good doctor not being able to pass up a possible easy buck. The big 8 Brazo led me to a small room with bars on the window and a spring lock on the door. When he left, I made like a smart gumshoe and went after the lock with my penknife. Due to my early training in picking locks at the automat, I was out like Alabama. I found myself in a long hall with 7 rooms, 3 on each side and 1 at the end. I knocked on every door. Nothing. Not even Bogart. The last one had to be Jason. Are you in there, Mr. Jason?
Diamond. Oh, I am glad to hear your voice. Please, get me out of here.
Just take it easy. I don't have a key, and this door has a padlock on it.
But you must get me out.
Sure, but give me time. First, tell me what's the score. Why did they lock you up?
Carol had it planned. She has paid Dr. Thorne to keep me here until I go crazy. She wants to have me judged legally insane so she can take the estate.
Yeah, well, maybe I can put a few kinks in her plan.
Wait, Diamond. Where are you going?
There's a phone in the doctor's office. If no one's there, I'll use it to get help.
Yes, but what if you can't get to the phone?
And I go out and get the Marines. If I can get by that ape man, that locked gate. Don't go away.
Oh, there you are, Sherlock.
Oh, don't pick on me. I was only 3.5 years old.
I'm upset with you, Sherlock. You oughtn't to be running around the halls like this,
A guy's got to have his constitutional, Brazo.
Yeah, well, you're through with yours. The doc wants to examine you now.
I've changed my mind. I don't think I like it.
I said the doc wants you. What the doc wants, he gets.
Well, bully for him, but this is one time he won't. I'm bleeding.
I don't want to break your arm, Sherlock.
No?
So you don't leave until the doc says so.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint him, but certain things are necessary, like this. Oh.
Now, you shouldn't act like that. I might get mad.
Oh, my knuckles. What is your jaw made of? Concrete?
Come on, Sherlock. Or do you want to try again?
No, thanks. One busted hand is enough.
And don't try to run. The gate's locked. And if I have to catch you, I'll fix your legs so you can't run again.
Oh, friendly little butcher, aren't you?
Right in here, Sherlock. The doc is waiting. Here he is, Doc.
Good. You can go back to the office, Brazo. I won't need you. Well, you seem to be well trained as a detective, Mr. Holmes. Do you always pick locks so easily?
I do better with my erector set. But you needn't examine me further. I've changed my mind.
You've changed your... This is odd. First you demand in, now you want out.
I just remembered I forgot to pick up my station wagon.
But the Indians, you want me to help you keep them from stealing your ice cream cones, don't you?
They already got them, and all my money, too. They're both gone.
Your money? And you don't have any money?
Not a bolivar. Now, may I go, Doctor?
You're going to stay right here, Mr. Holmes. There's something peculiar about the way you've recovered from your illusions.
Doc, Miss Jason to see you. She's in your office.
Very well, Brazo. Stay here and guard this man, whoever he is.
Holmes, H-O...
Will you shut up? And make sure he stays put this time, Brazo. I have some questions I want to ask him.
He won't go no place, Doc. He'll go ahead to the office.
Well, Carol, this is a pleasant surprise. Come to visit Jason.
Thorne, our plans will have to be changed.
Changed?
Something has come up that may cause an investigation of stepfather's illness. We can't afford to take a chance of that.
But we can't let Jason go now.
I had no such intentions. He must be taken care of tonight.
Taken care of? But that's impossible. How could
He must be gotten rid of.
What? Oh, no. No, I didn't bargain for murder.
Look, Thorne, you're in and you stay in. I paid you $10,000. Don't forget it.
But why all this sudden rush to change our plan? Why can't we
A private detective came to see me this morning. He was hired by stepfather. I knew he had suspicions, but I didn't know they'd gone so far.
A detective?
Oh, he can't act legally, but he's the sort to cause trouble.
Detective, private detective. Sherlock Holmes.
He's rambling about.
I'm afraid we're in serious trouble. Come with me.
What?
Your private detective. I think he's already found Jason. Come on.
You wouldn't like to earn $100, would you, Brazo?
No.
It is you, Diamond.
Uh-oh, fun's over.
Thorne, you fool. How'd you get in here?
He said he was a patient, Carol, and I swear he seemed crazy enough.
He probably said he had money.
You seem to understand each other, honey, but do you mind? I'd like to take Mr. Jason home
For
now.
a couple of extra dollars, you let him walk right in. Oh, Thorne, you're an idiot. I suppose he found Jason and talked to him.
Well, he did get out of his room and wander about.
Well, that's great. So now he knows the whole works.
Too bad, baby. Your plan is kaput.
Not quite, Diamond. You've just talked yourself into real trouble. This gun says for you not to get any bright ideas.
My IQ just dropped 30 points.
Shut him up, Brazo.
Sure.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Oh! Now, stay with him while Thorne and I make arrangements. We won't be long.
Do I get the...
Yes, Brazo, when we're ready. Come on, Thorne. I want to talk to stepfather.
Brazo's fist was made of the same stuff as his jaw. By the time I came around, darkness had painted the window, and the room was full of shadow and Brazo. The big hulk was squatting a few feet away, paying no attention to me. So I waited till my mind was clear while I eased off my right shoe. The heel was leather with a steel plate in it. I could only hope it was harder than Brazo's skull. With the shoe in my hand behind me, I was ready. Only to have him catch me stirring.
Coming to, Shamus?
Yeah. Hand me my cigarettes, will you, Brazo?
You need a smoke, eh? Sure. Where are they?
Fell out of my pocket, over there behind you.
Where? I don't see it. Say, that's not...
Need another?
Stop that.
Oh, come on, Buster, fall. Well, is little old Brazo finally getting sleepy? Happy New Year, Buster.
Levinson, homicide.
Walt, Rick, if you don't want me to be a customer of yours, get out to the Home Sweet Home Rest Home fast.
What? Hey, what kind of a gag is this now?
It's no gag, believe me. My client and I are the blue plate specials, and dinner is about to be served.
The Home Sweet... Oh, it still sounds like a gag. Who'd call anything that?
Now, don't argue, Walt. It's no joke.
Okay, Rick, what's the address?
1820 Allerton Avenue, Baychester. And bring a blowtorch to cut an iron gate. You may have to.
All right, I'll be there in 30 minutes.
The quicker if you can.
Stand right there, Diamond. or I'll use this gun.
Good afternoon. I represent the sleep
Looks
tight
like I
Morton.
came just in time. Only now that you've fixed Roszo, you have to dig your own grave.
Dig my own grave? Oh, honey, is this trip really necessary?
Keep moving or I'll kill you right here.
I move.
Keep going. Over there behind those trees where Thorne and Jason are.
Oh, is Jason...
He's alive, but not for long.
Where's Roszo? I thought he was going to...
Diamond knocked him out. They can dig their own graves. There, the shovels. Get busy.
Carol, please, you may have the money. I swear...
Shut up and dig.
Carol, this is...
Just work the shovel.
Can you imagine Richard Diamond, private detective, letting a sawed-off female make him dig his own grave? You can't? Well, she did. And for a good half hour. I stalled as long as I could to give Walt Levinson a chance to get there.
That's enough. I said that's deep enough.
Oh, please, I'm just started.
You're finished. Jason, get into that hole with him.
Very well. I guess this is it, Diamond. But sorry to have dragged you in.
Well, that's a horrible way to say it. Don't we get time for a last cigarette?
No. Thorne, take this gun.
What? Oh, no, I'm not going to kill them.
Shut up and take this gun.
Oh, don't do it, Thorne. Be a man about it.
Here, Thorne. Don't be such a weakling. 2 shots and it's over.
No, it was your idea. I'm no murderer.
Shut up, boy. Stick up for your rights.
You shut up. Thorne, do you do the job or do I make you number 3 in that grave?
You wasn't there. You need me.
Shut up, boy, Thorne. Tell her.
Go on, Thorne. Take the gun.
No, I can't. I just can't. Not like this.
You weakling. I'll do it myself. Now, turn around, Diamond.
Oh, now, look, baby, this thing's getting out of hand. You shoot me and the law will be all over the place.
Not until I've filled that grave in over you.
I called them, baby.
Oh, you're lying.
Am I? Well, just turn around and take a look at that lovely big fat policeman standing over there by that tree.
You really don't expect me to fall for an old stunt like that.
Well, if you don't, you'll fall for something. It's your funeral.
No, it isn't. It's yours.
All right, lady, drop it.
What? Why, you...
Smarty.
I'll kill you anyway.
Carol.
Rick, what the devil's going on here? What are you doing down there?
I'm looking at the girl. I think you shot her pretty bad.
Who are these 2 guys?
The guy with the castanet knees is Doc Thorne. Better put the cuffs on him as an accessory.
But you can't do this. I was the one that refused to shoot you.
Oh, stop licking my hand. You can tell it to the precinct judge.
Otis, snap the cuffs on them and take them out the car.
Sure.
Come on, you. Now, what about this other guy?
The girl's stepfather. How do you feel, Mr. Jason?
Sick, Mr. Diamond.
How about the girl, Rick? Shall I call the ambulance?
I don't know. Carol.
Well, Rick?
Take your time, Walt. She's not with us. I gave Walt the story, then took Jason to his house. Stayed there long enough to brush the dirt off my clothes, wash my hands, and then I headed for a delayed date. At 975 Park Avenue, I found a big fireplace and a lovely redhead waiting for me. A redhead wearing a dress that was part green silk and part... Well...
I'm the library, darling. Come on in.
Hello, Helen, baby. You sound like you found oil in the basement. What's with the cheer? Me?
Isn't it always? I like you.
I like the way you say that. Looking up at me with those big green eyes.
They're not green. They're hazel.
Oh, are they? Let me look closer.
Not until you sing for me.
Sing? Oh, honey, I'm tired. I want to rest.
No, you don't. No, over to the piano. Rick, not here.
But, Helen, all I wanted to do was...
I know, Rick.
Oh, you've been using that Ouija board again. I don't want to sing.
Now look at my eyes.
Close range?
Contact.
I'll sing.
That's better.
Like, you must have been a beautiful baby.
Oh, love it.
You must have been a beautiful baby. You must have been a wonderful child when you were only starting to go to kindergarten. I bet you drove the little boys wild. And when it came to winning blue ribbons, you must have shown the other kids how. I can see the judge's eyes as they handed you the prize. I bet you made the cutest bow. Oh, you must have been a beautiful baby. 'Cause, baby, look at you now. Like that?
That was wonderful, Rick. Come here.
About time.
Oh, Rick. Do you think you can do that and sing, too?
Honey, when you look at me like that, I could kiss you, sing, and knit a whole sweater at the same time.
Rick, could you?
Want to try?
The sweater will take years.
I'll buy that. Come here, we'll start with the neck.
Rick.
You know something?
What?
I may even knit you a whole suit.
You have just heard Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell. Helen was played by Virginia Gregg, Lieutenant Levinson by Ed Begley. Also in our cast were Wilms Herbert, Hy Averback, Betty Moran, Howard McNear, Edwin Max, and Jay Novello. Music was under the direction of Frank Worth. Tonight's story was written by Herb Purdom and edited and directed by Blake Edwards. Portions were transcribed. Dick Powell soon will be seen in the screen version of the best-selling novel, Mrs. Mike. Now, this is Eddie King inviting you to be with us again at the same time next week when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. How much is your life worth? Think about that for a minute. Is it worth a little care? Well, that's all that's needed to protect it on America's streets and highways. Only your careful driving and your acceptance of personal responsibility for your own life can guard you from the dangers of the road. The price that you may pay for carelessness is a high one, and it's a price that thousands upon thousands of accident victims have already paid. Their gamble with death behind the wheel is a stark warning, a warning that an accident can happen to you. Last year alone, some 32,000 persons were killed in traffic accidents, and well over 1 million others were injured. Smash-ups have averaged more than 1 a minute, every minute of the day and night. These are the facts of traffic dangers. As for the facts of traffic safety, well, they all boil down to just 2 facts. Careful driving by automobile owners, careful walking by pedestrians. So drive carefully, walk carefully. The care you take may save a life, and that life may be your own. Saturday night is packed with entertainment when you stay tuned to NBC's star lineup of shows. Each Saturday, make it a point to listen to NBC. You'll hear Hollywood Star Theater, Ralph Edwards' Truth or Consequences, Your Hit Parade, A Day in the Life of Dennis Day, The Judy Canova Show, Grand Ole Opry, and songs by Morton Downey. Now, stay tuned for Lionel Barrymore and Hollywood Star Theater on NBC.
Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay. And Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, written by Al Lewis. Well, as some of you may remember, last night was New Year's Eve. Well, like everyone else, our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, had looked forward to celebrating with considerable anticipation. But as the poet Robert Burns put it, the best laid plans of mice and men gang aft to gley.
I don't know about the men, but I'm certainly one of the mice Robbie had in mind, because last night somebody really ganged up on my glaze. Everything started off normally enough Saturday morning as I joined my landlady at the breakfast table.
Here, Connie, here's some tomato juice. It'll do you good, dear.
What is this, a down payment on tomorrow morning?
Oh, you won't need any tomorrow. Not if you come to my party tonight.
What kind of a party are you having, Mrs. Davis?
Very quiet, Connie. I've just asked some of the neighbors in to listen to the radio and maybe dance a bit. It'll be a nice, relaxed evening. Of course, I am having some help with the refreshments.
Who's helping you?
Barney, the bartender from Mulligan's Saloon.
That should lead to a very relaxed evening, earlier than you think.
Oh, he's not going to serve any whiskey. You see, ever since he's been working for Mr. Mulligan, Barney's insisted on having New Year's Eve off.
Why is that?
He can't stand drunks. Barney likes nothing better than to drop over here and make us a little friendly bowl of punch. If I remember correctly, Connie, you sampled some of Barney's punch last year.
I almost did, Mrs. Davis. Somebody jostled me as I was about to drink some, and I spilled it on my black evening gown.
I don't remember that at all, Connie.
I do. It started a run in my dress.
Oh, you're exaggerating, dear. It was a very mild mixture. Why, we even dipped lady fingers into the punch bowl after a while.
I know. And a little while after that, the lady fingers were diving into the bowl. No, I'm just teasing you, Mrs. Davis. I'd like nothing better than to share a little punch with you tonight, but I probably have a date with Mr. Boynton.
Probably. Hasn't he asked you yet, Connie?
Oh, you know Mr. Boynton. It takes him a week to get enough courage to speak up. You'd think he'd know where he stands by now. I've dropped him enough hints, heaven knows.
Hints?
Just yesterday, I told him I thought there was nothing quite as exciting as the scent of an orchid and the popping of champagne corks.
Do you think it'll work, Connie?
Indubitably, Mrs. Davis. He'll probably take me into a florist shop and let me smell an orchid while he cracks his knuckles.
Mr. Boynton isn't the biggest spender in the world, is he, Connie?
No, I think there's a Maharaja in India who spends $8 or $9 a week more. After all, Mr. Boynton is a school teacher, and he probably just can't. Now, who can that be? Come on in. It's not locked.
Finished with your cereal, Connie?
Yes, thanks.
Well, good morning, Miss Brooks, Mrs. Davis.
Hello, Mr. Boynton.
Now, isn't that a coincidence, Mr. Boynton? I was just going to clear away the table and clear out.
Oh, what's coincidental about that?
Now she's got a good reason to.
Exactly. See you later, folks.
Take your time, dear. Well, Mr. Boynton, this is rather a surprise visit.
Well, yes, Miss Brooks, I guess it is.
Want a cup of coffee?
All right.
Keeps pretty hot in this percolator. There you are.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun. What'll we do now?
Tonight, as you know, is New Year's Eve, Miss Brooks.
Yes, I know.
It's the one night in the year I believe in celebrating. You see, the only fun a bachelor can have, especially a bachelor school teacher, is to really let go once in a while.
Might also be fun to hold on once in a while. Don't look so shocked. I'll withdraw the statement. Strike that from the record, clerk.
The one thing I'm so grateful for, Miss Brooks, is that our relationship has always been completely honest and above board. I can talk to you straight from the shoulder.
You certainly can, Mr. Boynton.
I don't have to beat around the bush.
No, you don't.
I can come right to the point without stalling.
I hear you talking.
I don't have to mask my real intentions with a lot of pseudo-diplomacy.
Never no pseudo-diplomacy.
Well, what I'm trying to say, Miss Brooks, is that, well, several weeks ago, I promised to attend the Biologist Club New Year's Eve party at the Club Jamboree tonight.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. But the ticket cost $5, Miss Brooks, and, well, I only had enough for the one when I bought it. And, well, since then, I've had some unexpected holiday expenses and just haven't been able to afford another one. Of course, I'd love to ask you to join me tonight, but I couldn't very well invite you to pay for your own ticket, could I?
You could, but I couldn't. Pay for it, I mean. I've had some holiday expenses of my own, Mr. Boynton. 2 whole weeks of eating.
Well, I'm terribly sorry we won't be together, Miss Brooks. As a matter of fact, I suspected you were just as broke as I am. That's why I came over to see you now.
What do you mean, Mr. Boynton?
Happy New Year, Miss Brooks.
Same to you, Mr. Boynton. And thank you for a lovely morning.
That's all right, Miss Brooks.
Now let's sing 2 choruses of Old Lang Syne, and this will be the earliest I've ever folded on New Year's Eve.
Please don't be annoyed, Miss Brooks. I'll be thinking about you tonight from the minute I sit down in that nightclub and pick up my noisemaker.
Well, thanks, Mr. Boynton. I'll be thinking of you, too, tonight, as soon as I sit down by the window and blow my tin horn.
I guess I better be running along now. Get cleaned up for the big night.
Yes, you do that, Mr. Boynton. I've got to help Mrs. Davis with the dishes. Forgive me if I don't walk you to the door.
Certainly. Well, see you next year, like they say.
Don't take any wooden biologists. Now, that's just dandy.
What's just dandy, Connie? Oh, where'd Mr. Boynton go?
Home to rest.
Oh, we've got a big night ahead of us, eh?
We've got a big night ahead of him. Mr. Boynton is going to the biologist party alone, Mrs. Davis.
Alone? But why, Connie?
He just can't afford to take me with him. The tickets are $5 a copy. Now, if I had $5, I could... Mrs. Davis.
I'd be happy to, Connie.
You would?
Of course, but I haven't got a quarter. I spent my entire budget for this week on tonight's party.
Oh, well, thanks just the same, Mrs. Davis. No sense in worrying about it, I guess. New Year's Eve is just another night.
Maybe that's Mr. Boynton again. I'll finish up in the kitchen, Connie.
Come on in. The door is still open.
Good morning, Miss Brooks.
Mr. Conklin, what fortuitous circumstance brings Madison's esteemed principal to the humble abode of a lowly faculty member?
You've seen your share of Charlie Chan movies, haven't you? If you'll forgive me, Miss Brooks, I shall skirt the preliminaries and get right to the point. Firstly, Mrs. Conklin is visiting her sister, who has a touch of rheumatism in Philadelphia.
That's a bad place to get it.
Let's dispense with the fripperies, shall we? Secondly, her sister has sent their little boy, age 6, to spend the holidays with my daughter Harriet and myself. Thirdly, I have promised Harriet she can go to a New Year's Eve party tonight. And fourthly, I have a dinner engagement with some old professor friends of mine from state normal days.
But I don't understand, Mr. Conklin.
At this late date, it is almost impossible to secure a babysitter, Miss Brooks.
Now I understand. I'm sorry, Mr. Conklin, but I've been sitting with children for years now. I'm afraid I'm going to be busy tonight.
Ah, what a pity. It would only be until 10 o'clock, and I was contemplating payment of, say, $5.
Well, I'd like to help you, Mr. Conklin, but it's really out of the question for me to... Did you say $5?
That is correct.
Where and when?
7:30, my home.
I'll be there, Mr. Conklin.
Thank you, Miss Brooks. Thank you very much. Don't bother seeing me to the door. I know the way.
Thank you, Mr. Conklin. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Mrs. Davis! Mrs. Davis!
Yes, dear. What is it?
Well, it's going to be a happy New Year after all. I'm going to sit with Mr. Conklin's nephew until 10 o'clock, and he's going to give me $5.
He must be quite a well-to-do little boy.
Mr. Conklin's going to give me the $5. Don't you see, Mrs. Davis? Now I can buy my own ticket to the club jamboree and see the old year out with Mr. Boynton after all.
Oh, how nice for you, Connie.
Oh, just one thing, Mrs. Davis. On our way to the club, may I stop by here to pick up some lady fingers?
But doesn't the $5 you pay include a midnight supper, Connie?
Yes, it does, Mrs. Davis.
Then what in the world do you want for lady fingers?
We've got to have something to slip the waiter.
Starring Eve Arden will continue in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith. Now, proof that brushing teeth right after eating with Colgate Dental Cream helps stop tooth decay before it starts. Continuous research, hundreds of case histories, makes this the most conclusive proof in all dentifrice research on tooth decay. Eminent dental authorities supervise hundreds of college men and women for over 2 years. One group always brushed their teeth with Colgate right after eating. The other followed their usual dental care. The group using Colgate Dental Cream as directed, using Colgate's exclusively, showed a startling reduction in average number of cavities, far less tooth decay. The other group developed new cavities at a much higher rate. No other dentifrice offers proof of these results. Modern research shows decay is caused by mouth acids, which are at their worst right after eating. Brushing teeth with Colgate as directed helps remove acids before they harm enamel. Yes, Colgate contains all the necessary ingredients, including an exclusive patented ingredient for effective daily dental care. So remember, always use Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay.
Well, I phoned Mr. Boynton and asked him to meet me at Mr. Conklin's home at 10 that evening. At 9:30, I was still trying to get little Stevie into bed. Now listen, Stevie, it's getting awfully late. Just when do you propose to go to sleep?
Well, as soon as I get another glass of water.
But I've given you 3 glasses of water in the last half hour. What do you do with them?
I drank 2 and gave 1 to my animals. See? Uncle Osgood bought me these toys for Christmas.
They're very nice. Now get into bed, please.
Well, first tuck my lion in the bed.
All right. There, your lion's in bed.
Now my tiger.
Okay, your tiger's in.
Now put my Black Panther in.
Right, the Black Panther's tucked in. Now I'll just tuck... Stevie, why aren't you getting into the bed?
Who do you think I am, Clyde Beatty?
I wish I had a book on child psychology with me. A nice heavy one. Come on now, shove that menagerie aside and get in.
Okay.
Hello?
Is that you, Harriet?
Your daughter's dressing for her date, Mr. Conklin, but thanks for the comparison.
On the phone, all voices sound alike to me. How's my nephew, Miss Brooks?
Fine, Mr. Conklin. He's in his zoo. In bed.
Good. Has the dear little fellow floated off to dreamland yet?
Not quite, but 1 more glass of water should do it. There hasn't been any change in plan, has there, Mr. Conklin?
Why, no, Miss Brooks.
Then I can expect you in about half an hour?
I'm afraid it'll be considerably longer than a half hour, Miss Brooks. I'm staying over with some friends.
But you said you'd be back at 10.
That's right. I'll be back at 10 a.m.
Oh, but Mr. Conklin...
Awfully nice of you to do this for me, Miss Brooks. Good night and a Happy New Year to you.
Oh, this is terrible. Harriet! Oh, Harriet!
Yes, Miss Brooks?
Your dad just called and told me he won't be home until tomorrow morning.
I know. He's staying with some old friends of his. From Normal.
There's nothing normal about it. When I agreed to act as Stevie's sitter, I thought your father would be back at 10 tonight. I have a date at that time with Mr. Boynton.
Oh, that's a shame, Miss Brooks.
Maybe I could call your dad back so we could make some other arrangement. Do you know where these friends of his live?
No, I don't. But don't get panicky. We'll think of something as soon as I finish dressing. Oh, that must be Walter Denton. Will you let him in, please? I'll just be seconds finishing up.
All right, Harriet. Coming.
Miss Brooks, I want a glass of water.
Quiet, Stevie. Darn kid. If it weren't for him, I should go... Take it easy. I'm coming.
Happy New Year, Miss Brooks.
Come in, Walter.
Isn't it a wonderful night to see the old year out on? Aren't you just in love with tonight, Miss Brooks?
I'm crazy about it. Harriet will be ready in a few minutes, Walter.
Ah, dear Harriet. You know, that's what I like best about this holiday. The feeling of closeness it gives you to the one you care for. Especially during that one breathless, rapturous moment right before midnight. That moment like the hush of a giant wave ere it pounds mightily upon the golden sand. That tongueless moment of promised ecstasy culminating in a crescendo of clamorous, amorous bliss.
Have you ever been hit with a 6-year-old child?
Miss Brooks, you don't seem very happy about New Year's. Haven't you got a date with Mr. Boynton?
That's just the trouble, Walter. I have. But I also have a date to sit here with Mr. Conklin's nephew, Stevie, until Uncle returns in the morning. It was all a misunderstanding, mostly on my part.
Gee, that's a tough break, Miss Brooks. Isn't there any way out for you? I know. Maybe you could hire a babysitter to sit in your place. Of course, it couldn't be just any ordinary person. It would have to be a very special kind of sitter to fill your shoes.
You never were great in anatomy, were you, Walter? But that wouldn't work either. Even if I had the money, which I haven't, it's too late to get anybody now.
Well, here I am, Walter. How do I look? Devastating, Harriet. Absolutely soul-destroying. How do you think I look, Miss Brooks?
Very atomic, Harriet. You should be the center of all eyes at your party.
Gee, I kind of hate to go with you in this spot, Miss Brooks. Did you tell Walter about your dilemma?
Yeah, she did, Harriet. But we can't seem to think of any way out. Oh, don't worry about me, kids. I'll just celebrate New Year's Eve some other night.
Maybe when Mr. Boynton comes to pick you up, you could talk him into staying here with you instead of going to his old biologist club party.
Yeah, there's a swell phonograph and some keen records you could dance to. Maybe I'll do that. In fact, I may do that even if Mr. Boynton doesn't stay.
Brooks, I want a glass of water.
Excuse me, kids. I guess I didn't tuck him in tight enough. I'll be right there, Stevie. You run along to your party and have a good time.
You're certainly noble, Miss Brooks.
I'm not noble. I'm stuck. Go ahead now. It's almost 10 o'clock.
Noble or stuck, you're solid, Miss Brooks.
Thanks, Walter. Maybe Mr. Boynton will notice it and stick around a while.
I sure hope so. Me, too. Have the best possible New Year's under the circumstances, Miss Brooks.
I'll do my best. So long, kids.
Hey, did Cousin Harriet go out with Walter Denton?
Yes, Stevie, she did.
He's an idiot.
He's very fond of you, too. Here's your water.
Oh, thanks. Hey, could I also have an ice cream cone?
No, Stevie, no ice cream cones at this hour.
With a pickle in it?
That's different. You've got to have your vitamins. No, I'm just fooling. You've eaten quite enough for one night.
Are there any pickles in the house?
No, but I'd gladly let you have the one I'm in.
Well, here's my glass. You better leave it near the pitcher. I might get hungry again.
Mm-hmm. Thirsty. Oh, that's Mr. Boynton. Now, you put your little head down and dream you're a battleship.
Okay. Good night, Miss Brooks.
Good night, Stevie. I'll be right there. Oh, come in, Mr. Boynton. My, but you look handsome tonight.
Oh, thanks, Miss Brooks. You look quite handsome yourself. I'm glad to see you already. I'm just raring to go.
Well, unrare yourself, Mr. Boynton. I'm afraid I can't go with you tonight.
But you said on the phone that Mr. Conklin will be back.
Yes,
and you...
that was before he called me again. He won't be here until tomorrow morning. I can't leave Stevie alone. But I've been thinking, Mr. Boynton, we could have quite a nice time right here tonight.
Here? You and me?
And the phonograph. There are some fine records stacked over there by the sofa.
But, Miss Brooks, we have no chaperone.
Who has no chaperone? I'm here.
I'm sorry, Miss Brooks. I've already paid for my ticket, and the other members of the club expect me at the club jamboree. In fact, I promised I'd be there by 10:30.
Well, it's only 10 now. You could stay for a little while. Here, sit down on the couch, Mr. Boynton.
Well, I guess I could stay for about 10 minutes or so.
Fine, we'll have a million laughs. Do you like records, Mr. Boynton?
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, say, here's quite a pile of them. Let's see what some of the titles are.
That should be fun. Here's a batch for you. I'll go through these.
Don't you think you're sitting rather close to me, Miss Brooks?
I know I'm sitting close to you, Mr. Boynton.
Well, I mean, I'm a little off balance. I don't want to break any records.
Don't worry, you won't. Here's a great old number. If I could be with you 1 hour tonight.
I'm a lone cowhand.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Don't fence me in.
I'm in the mood for love.
It's too late now.
I can dream, can't I?
All right, Louie, drop the gun.
Everything I have is yours.
I got plenty of nothing.
Drink to me only with thine eyes.
I want a glass of water.
Quiet, Stevie. You've had all the water you're going to get. Now go to sleep.
Okay. Don't get petulant.
Maybe you should let him have it, Miss Brooks.
I'd love to let him have it. He's had quite enough, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, say, here's a beautiful number. The Bells of St. Mary's.
Oh, that is beautiful. Excuse me, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, before you answer it, Miss Brooks, I'd like you to know I've changed my mind. I just can't stand the thought of you spending New Year's Eve alone, so, well, I'll call my friends and tell them not to expect me. That is, if you still want me to stay here with you.
If I still want you. Mr. Boynton, don't move from that spot. Be right there. If I still want him, he says.
If that's
Miss Brooks. We just couldn't stand the thought of you spending New Year's Eve alone. Come on in, Walter.
Oh, but what about your friend's party, Harriet?
We told them we weren't coming, Miss Brooks. Walter and I decided to spend New Year's Eve right here with you.
With me? But Mr. Boynton's here.
Well, hello, Harriet, Walter. How are you both?
I'm fine, thanks, Mr. Boynton. We came back to help Miss Brooks celebrate the New Year.
Well, good. The more the merrier. I'm staying here, too.
Wonderful. We'll have our own party, the four of us. Won't that be just the end, Miss Brooks?
It'll be the end of something.
Well, I've certainly had a good time so far.
So have I, drinking Cokes and playing records.
Oh, it has been rather exciting at that. Don't you think so, Miss Brooks?
Thrilling. I can hardly wait until midnight.
What are you going to do then?
I'm going to crack open a brand new bottle of Sweet Air and spray the kitchen.
It's almost midnight now. Gee, I wish Daddy were here.
That would be all I need.
Turn the radio on, Walter. The Club Jamboree is broadcasting their New Year's Eve party.
Oh, okay, Mr. Boynton.
Poor Daddy's missing all the fun. He and those old professors of his probably played a few games of chess and went to bed about 11:30.
Well, perhaps it's for the best, Harriet. Your father's a very high-strung man. Too much noise isn't good for him.
I've got the station.
Well, it's 2 minutes to midnight, folks, and here to give you the signal of the stroke of 12 is one of our most distinguished citizens and an honored guest of Club Jamboree. Here he is, your friend and mine, happy-go-lucky, gag-a-minute, Osgood Conklin.
Osgood Conklin?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for that charming introduction, Professor Young.
That's him, all right.
I have just time before the old year is dead to tell you lovely people that a funny thing happened to me on my way to the club tonight. A panhandler stopped me outside the door and said, "Mister, I haven't had a bite all week." So I bit him.
Oh, great. Madison's next principal will probably be Milton Berle.
Now, when I give you the signal, let's get those noisemakers going and really let her rip. There are only 5 seconds to go. 4, 3, 2, 1.
What got into Daddy tonight?
Maybe it was some of Mrs. Davis's fruit punch.
Oh, gosh, Harriet, your dad's entitled to have a little fun once in a while. After all, people are only human.
Well, it is New Year's Eve.
It sure is. And it's midnight, too, Harriet. You know what that means?
I guess so, Walter. Well, come on, I'm all puckered.
Here goes, Harriet.
Mr. Boynton, do you see the work that's going on in the next yard?
Yes, I do, Miss Brooks. Although I must admit I'm a rather diffident person most of the time, I feel that this being New Year's Eve, I can take a certain liberty.
Liberty? You can take shore leave.
Well, I'm ready if you are.
I'm puckered, Mr. Boynton.
I'm thirsty, Miss Brooks.
Well, that's done it. If you'll forgive me, Mr. Boynton, I'm going to pour 3 glasses of water.
3? But who are the extra 2 for?
You and me. We might as well be loaded as the way we are.
Eve Arden returns in just a moment, but first, dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. Tonight? Yes, tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Luster Cream, world's finest shampoo. No other shampoo in the world gives Kay Daumit's magic blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Not a soap, not a liquid, Luster Cream Shampoo leaves hair 3 ways lovelier. Fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Even in hardest water, Luster Cream lathers instantly. No special rinse needed after a Luster Cream Shampoo. So gentle, Luster Cream is wonderful even for children's hair. Tonight, yes, tonight, try Luster Cream Shampoo.
Dream girl, beautiful Luster Cream girl, you owe your crowning glory to a Luster Cream Shampoo.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take pride in announcing that the poll of newspaper and magazine radio editors taken by Motion Picture Daily for Fame magazine showed that Eve Arden was voted the best radio comedian in 1949.
My sincere thanks to the radio editors, Motion Picture Daily, and Fame magazine, and to every school teacher and pupil, as well as their parents and friends, a very happy New Year. Good night.
Tune into another Our Miss Brooks show brought to you by Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair and Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay. Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, directed by Al Lewis, with music by Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Boynton is played by Jeff Chandler, Mr. Conklin by Gail Gordon. Others in tonight's cast were Jane Morgan, Dick Crenna, Gloria McMillan, and Jeff Silver. Be beauty-wise, get bath-size Palmolive soap for beauty care all over. Yes, for your tub or shower, enjoy the same glorious beauty lather that millions of women have found so wonderful in bringing lovelier complexions in just 14 days.
Simply buy the big, thrifty, long-lasting bath-size Palmolive. Use it for your Palmolive soap facials. Enjoy its oceans of creamy, beautifying lather in your tub or shower. And say, men love it, too. So let the whole family enjoy bath-size Palmolive.
Yes, be beauty-wise. Get bath-size Palmolive soap today. For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North, the exciting, fun-packed adventures of an amateur detective and his beautiful wife. Tune in Tuesday evening over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at this same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Jack Benny Program, transcribed, presented by Lucky Strike. There's never a rough puff in a Lucky because LSMFT, Lucky Strike, means fine tobacco. And in a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts. Yes, at the tobacco auctions, Luckies pay more, millions of dollars more than official parity prices, to get ripe, light, naturally mild tobacco that guarantees more real deep-down smoking enjoyment for you. Puff after puff with never a rough puff.
And remember that the tobacco experts, men who can see the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy that fine tobacco, choose Luckies for their own personal smoking enjoyment. Yes, a recent survey shows that more independent tobacco experts, auctioneers, buyers, and warehousemen smoke Lucky Strike regularly than the next two leading brands combined.
So take a tip from the experts and smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. With every puff, every pack, you'll get more real deep-down smoking enjoyment. Puff after puff with never a rough puff. Yes, light up a Lucky and enjoy a smoother, milder, truly finer cigarette. Make your next carton Lucky Strike.
The Lucky Strike program, starring Jack Benny, with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, the Sportsman Quartet, and yours truly, Don Wilson. Yes, this is New Year's Day. And we're going to take you to the home of Mary Livingston in Beverly Hills. At the moment, Mary and her maid Pauline are straightening up the house after last night's celebration.
Now, Pauline, when you finish with the living room, start in the den, please.
Yes, ma'am. Gee, Miss Livingston, that was a wonderful party. You sure are a swell hostess.
Well, thanks. Do you really think my guests had a good time?
Oh, yes, especially Dennis Day. I'll bet he never drank champagne before.
You're right, Pauline. He took one drink, grabbed a bottle of catsup, poured it on his head, and yelled, "Hey, look at me, I'm Red Skelton." He really was cute, though.
He might have been cute then, but when he caught me under the mistletoe, he was a mean little kid.
Well, at least everybody had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you can thank your sister Babe for that. She was the life of the party.
Yeah.
She's really a card. That was quite a gag coming to a New Year's Eve party dressed in overalls.
That was no gag. She had to go to work at 1 o'clock.
That's a shame having to work on a holiday.
Holiday or no holiday, smudge pots have to be lit. But Babe was a lot of fun, and so was Phil Harris.
But you know what? I don't remember seeing Mr. Harris leave.
Oh, he never did leave, Pauline.
He didn't? Well, where is he?
You're standing on him.
Oh, Miss Livingston, the way you tease me.
Now go ahead, Pauline. Take those glasses out to the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am. You know, it's a shame that Mr. Benny wasn't at your party last night. Was he ill?
No, he was all right.
Well, I know you invited him. Why didn't he come?
Well, it's a long story, Pauline. It all started yesterday evening at CBS. After our usual rehearsal, the entire cast gathered in Jack's dressing room to wish each other a Happy New Year.
Well, kids, here we are at the end of another year. And it brings a warm glow to my heart having all of you who have been with me so many years gathered here in my dressing room.
Well, Jack, that's sweet.
I feel that I'm a very fortunate man to have such capable people and such true friends.
Oh, Jackson.
Not only are we bound together in friendship, but the quality of your individual performances has been a personal demonstration of your loyalty to me.
Well, thanks, Jack.
So to you, my associates as well as friends, I just want to say in all sincerity that I'm proud of each and every one of you.
Last year, our hooper was down. He spit in our eye.
Dennis, now this is a serious moment, and I meant every word of it.
Well, I think we better break this up and get started for Livy's party. Want to drive over with me, Jackson?
Phil, Jack's not coming to my party.
What?
That's right, Phil. You kids will have to get along without little Jackie. I got a date myself. I got a date all for myself.
A date?
Yes, sir. In fact, I'm going to pick her up in about half an hour.
Well, so that's why you came to rehearsal in top hat, white tie, and tails, huh?
Yep. I look kind of classy, don't I, Phil?
Classy? You look like the head pot man in a Forest Lawn flower shop.
All right, Phil, all right.
Hey, Mr. Benny, who have you got this date with?
Oh, she's a girl that I met just recently. Her name is Gloria.
Gloria? Do we know her?
What's she look like, Jackson?
No more questions. I know you're all curious, but I'm not talking.
Well, so the old man is stepping out, huh?
Phil, I'm not an old man. You keep saying that all the time, and you know my age as well as I do.
Weller.
Weller? This is a word? Weller?
Jackson, if you think I'm hard to understand now, catch me at midnight.
Phil.
That's when I'm my wellest.
Well, there's no use trying to be sentimental around this gang. Hey, Dennis, how about singing a number before we leave?
Yes, Dennis, sing something lively.
Oh, would you like to hear I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts?
Oh! Come on, Dennis.
Down at an English fair, one evening I was there, when I heard a showman shouting underneath a flare, "I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Oh, there they are a-standing in a row. Big ones, small ones, some as big as your head. Give him the twist, a flick of the wrist, that's what the showman said. How I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Every ball you throw will make me rich. Oh, there stands me wife, the idol of me life. Sing and roll a ball, a penny a bit. Roll a penny a bit. Right you are, mate. Sing and roll a ball, a penny a bit. Hey, back home. Roll a ball, sing and roll a ball, a penny a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sit right up and take a chance. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. It's not going to cost you threepence or tuppence, but only a penny. And at the present rate of exchange, that's practically nothing. So step right up. Oh, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Oh, every ball you throw will make me rich. Oh, there stands me wife, the idol of me life. Sing and roll a ball, a penny a bit. Sing and roll a ball, a penny a bit. Hey, back home. Sing and roll a ball, a penny a bit. Oh, roll a ball, sing and roll a ball, a penny a bit.
Ah, that was wonderful, Dennis. And the next time we hear you sing, it will be 1950.
Right you are, Governor.
Now, kids, before we leave, I've got a little surprise for you. It's right here in the dressing table. There. How's that?
Jack, a bottle of champagne.
Yes, sir. I'm going to open it and we'll drink a toast before we leave. Don, hand me that towel so I can wrap it around the bottle.
There you are, Jack. Don't forget to loosen them wires, Jackson.
I have. Look out, Mary. This cork is liable to fly. This cork is awfully tight.
Let me try it, Jack.
No, Don. I'll pull it out with my teeth. I can do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Gosh, Jack, I never thought you could... Jack. Oh, my goodness, he swallowed the cork. Jack!
Don't get excited, Mary. I'll pat him on the back.
It's out. Well, kids, now that the champagne's open, we'll drink a toast. Mary, here's a glass for you. Don, Dennis. Now, where's Phil?
He's over by the water cooler.
I'll be right with you, Jackson.
Phil, for heaven's sake, what are you drinking all that water for?
Jackson, I got a long night ahead of me, and I want to get them chasers out of the way.
I knew you'd have a good reason. All right, kids, here's to a very... Come in. Well, if it isn't Mel Blanc.
Hiya, Mel. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Mel. Say, Mel, it was awfully nice of you to drop in.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Benny. And I hope in the coming year you'll be able to use me on your program. You know, I didn't work too much this season.
Well, it's not my fault, Mel. I use you when I can, but after all, how often can I hire someone just to imitate Al Jolson? You see, it's hardly worth it.
Yeah, but I got a wife and 6 kids. Last week I couldn't even afford to buy a Christmas tree.
No.
Yeah. My kids can't go to school because they ain't got no shoes, and my wife is walking around in rags, and the rent is past due.
Gee.
If things get any worse, I'll have to sell my Cadillac.
Oh, well, in that case, I'll do all I can, Mel. Come in.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Well, yes, sir. Hey, Mr. Kitzel, it's sure nice of you to come in and see us on New Year's Eve.
Yes, I just dropped by to wish everybody season's greetings.
Well, Mr. Kitzel, I'm having a party at my house tonight. Would you like to come?
Oh, bless your heart, Miss Livingston. But Tonight I'm taking my wife out formal. And for this occasion, I'm renting a car.
Renting a car? Where are you taking her?
To Simon's Drive-In.
Oh, Mr. Kitzel, you're joking.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Well, Mr. Kitzel, I just opened a bottle of champagne. How about having a drink with us?
Oh, thank you, and I'd like to propose a toast.
Here. A toast.
Go ahead, Mr. Kitzel.
Well, here's to Jack Benny, who's just like good wine. He improves as he ages, but he stays 39.
Thank you, Mr. Kitzel, and here's to you.
Thank you.
Now, I'd like to propose a toast to every member of my cast. Mary, I'm going to start with you. Now, hold up your glass. Mary, you've been on my program almost 18 years. And isn't that funny? There's so much I want to say, but I don't know how to say it.
Well, you don't have to say it, Jack. I know what you mean.
And Phil? Yeah, Dad. Phil, I want to drink to you, too. You've been with me 14 years. And, Phil, sometimes you rib me a little, but I love you. And you've certainly gone a long way.
Thanks, Jackson. You want to know something? There's no one who takes more pride in my being on your program than my father.
Your father?
Yep. He knew it was always my ambition to be on your show. And the day you signed me up, I went home, showed my father the contract, and he looked at me and said, "Congratulations. It makes me happy to know that you finally reached your goal, son."
He said goal, son. Anyway, I thought you'd gone.
Well, don't get mad, Mr. Benny. I just hung around because I want you to hear a song I recorded for Capitol Records.
Mel, you recorded a song?
Yeah, Toot Toot Tootsie, Goodbye.
Oh, Jolson again, huh?
Yeah, but this is different. If you just listen to it, you'd want to put it on your program.
Well, okay, Mel, let's hear it. How about it, fellas?
Toot Toot Tootsie, Goodbye. Toot Toot Tootsie, don't cry. The choo-choo train, take me away from you. No one can tell us that it makes me. Kiss me, Tootsie, and then do it all over again. Watch for the mail. I never fail. If you don't get a letter, then you know I'm a child. Don't cry. Tootsie, goodbye.
Puff, puff, puffing away. We're called Rocking away. We're selling all tobacco. It's always lucky, round and serving fully tobacco. Puff, puff, have one on me. Lucky, say more. Say millions more. For all that fine and light tobacco we all adore. Happy New Year, goodbye. And keep on smoking Lucky. Goodbye.
Very good, Mel. Mel, and you're right. I think I'll use that number on my program.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Benny. Goodbye, everybody.
Well, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. You know, kids, he really did a great imitation of Jolson.
How do you like the way he imitated the Sportsman Quartet? That kid's clever.
He sure is. Now, what was I saying before Mel did his song?
You were drinking a toast to all of us.
Oh, yes. Don, you're next. Hold up your glass, Don. Don, as the year comes to a close, I want you to know that my association with you is a very happy one. You're not only a fine announcer, but a gentleman, a scholar, and a friend.
Well, thank you, Jack.
Don, how long have you been with Jack?
9 years.
9 years? No, Don, you've been with me 16.
Oh, you're counting the 7 years you had me auditioning.
You got it. You gotta count everything. Anyway, Don, here's to you. Good luck. And now, Dennis.
Yes, sir?
Dennis, you've been with me almost 11 years. I remember the day you first came on my program. You were young. You were naive. But you had a beautiful singing voice. And as the years went by, your voice became more matured, more beautiful than ever. And then, suddenly, you blossomed out. And now you're a star in your own right.
My show is better than yours.
Dennis, look at me.
Yes, sir?
Turn away again. I know, it's my own... It's my own fault.
Jack, I've got to run home now and get things ready for my party tonight.
Okay, Mary.
Jack, are you sure you don't want to join us?
No, Mary, not tonight. In fact, I'm going to pick my girl up in about 10 minutes.
Well, Jackson, why don't you bring her over to Livy's house?
No, my plans are all made. Gloria and I are going to have cocktails at Ciro's, dinner at Romanoff, and then dance in the New Year at the Macombo. Yes, sir. Well, run along, kids. Have a good time at the party, and don't worry about me.
Well, I'll answer, Jack. Hello? Yes, he's here. Who's calling? Oh, Jack, it's for you. It's Gloria.
Gloria? Give me that phone. Hello, Gloria. I'm all ready and raring to go. I'll pick you up in about... What? You can't? But, Gloria, I've got reservations and everything. And I'm all dressed. But look, of course I believe you. But, gee, it's New Year's Eve. You gotta go. Oh, now look, Gloria, isn't there some way you can make it? Oh. Well, if you can't, I guess you just can't. So long, then. Goodbye. Well, what are you all staring at? Gloria had a very good excuse, and she's nuts about me, too. Well, she is.
Jack, as long as your date is off, how about coming over to my party?
Yeah, Jackson, come on. We're going to have a lot of fun.
No, thanks. I don't feel like going anywhere.
Oh, come on, Jack. Don't be so stubborn.
I'm not stubborn. I just don't feel like going.
Jackson, sometimes you act
Oh,
like...
Phil, leave him alone. Jack, the party is at my house, and if you change your mind and want to come, I'd love to have you.
Thanks, Mary, but I'm going home. Where's my top hat and gloves? Oh, here they are. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Jack.
So long.
Gee, I wish Jack hadn't walked out like that. It makes me feel awful.
Yeah. Well, it's no fun for him being alone on New Year's Eve.
Well, maybe he'd feel worse in a crowd.
I forgot my cane. Here it is. Well, so long.
Happy New Year, Mr. Benny.
Huh? Oh, Happy New Year, Mike.
Is your rehearsal over?
Yeah.
And now you're stepping out, eh?
No, I'm just going home. You know, New Year's Eve is just another night to me. Good night, Mike. See you tomorrow.
Good night, Mr. Benny, and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mike.
Happy New Year, mister. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hey, you in the monkey suit. Why don't you watch where you're going?
I'm sorry. It was my fault.
Well, watch it, bud.
Maybe on this side of the street it won't
Hi, Rube.
Huh?
You remember me? I met you in the store while I was doing my Christmas shopping. I was looking for my wife.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Say, Rube, your coat's ripped up the back.
No, those are tails. Always dressed like this on New Year's Eve.
Well, ain't you the dandy?
Please, I'm in no mood to talk to you now. This is New Year's Eve, and
I know. That's why I'm down here in the city. I aim to do a little celebrating myself.
Good.
At the stroke of 12, I'm going to take a drink, blow a horn, and catch the bus back to Calabasas.
Fine.
If you want to join me, you're welcome. Got a little snort here in my back pocket.
No, thanks. I'm going home. Goodbye.
Okay, Rube. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I wonder why he keeps calling me Rube. He was kind of friendly, though. Well, I better hail a cab now. See, it's kind of cold. I think I'll stop in here and get a cup of coffee first.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Would you like a nice table right here by the window?
No, thanks. I'm all alone. I'll just sit at the counter here.
Oh, please come sit by the window. I like everybody see how nice my customers dress.
No, thanks. Some other time.
All right. If you like to sit at the counter, all right. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Say, we got a special $2 dinner tonight. Steak, mashed potatoes, string beans, and for dessert, nice apple pie a la mode.
Well,
if you sit by the window, I give it to you free.
No, thanks. I'll just have a cup of coffee at the counter. I don't know if I just want coffee or... Yeah, I guess coffee's enough.
What'll it be?
Coffee, please.
Would you like a sandwich or some toast with it?
No, thanks. Just coffee.
Want a little cream with it?
No, just black coffee.
Okay. Here's your coffee.
Thanks.
Gee, I'm sorry about tonight.
That's all right, Gloria. Forget it, Gloria.
But honest, Jack, Mamie promised she'd work for me tonight.
Mamie. All the time it's Mamie. Could have let me know before the last minute.
I'm sorry.
I see you're wearing my corsage. And on that greasy uniform yet. I don't want this coffee. I'm going home.
I'll be through at 3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock, I'll be snoring. Goodbye. Always blames everything on Mamie. Mamie did this. Mamie did that. Oh, taxi! Taxi! Here you are, driver.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Who's that?
It's me, Rochester.
Boss, how come you're home so early? I thought you were going out tonight and celebrate.
I was, but things didn't work out. Say, Rochester, I thought you were going out tonight.
Oh, I am.
Well, hadn't you better hurry? It's almost midnight.
Boss, on Central Avenue, Father Time lingers till we get rolling.
Really?
Sometimes we roll right into February.
Well, you can leave whenever you want to, Rochester.
But what are you going to do, boss?
Oh, I'll just sit by the fire and read a book and then go to bed.
Oh, boss, I hate to see you all alone on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, it ain't all right. I'm going to stay home and I'm going to be right here with you.
Oh, Rochester, you don't have to do that.
Sure, boss. We'll greet the New Year together.
Well, hey, we might have fun at that. Have we got any horns in the house?
No, we sold them.
Oh.
We've got some Ohio State pennants left. We can wave those.
No, they don't make any noise. Look, Rochester, it's almost midnight. You better run it along.
No, sir, I'm staying right here with you.
All right, if you insist.
I'll get a can of beer out the icebox and we'll drink to the New Year.
No, Rochester. If you're willing to stay home with me on New Year's Eve, we're going to do this thing right. We're going to open a bottle of champagne.
We're going to open a what?
We're going to open a bottle of champagne. There's a cold one in the icebox. Now, hurry up.
Yes, sir.
Gee, it was nice of Rochester to stay. Maybe it won't be... Gee, it's midnight already. Rochester, hurry! Hurry up!
Coming, boys, coming! Here's the champagne, boys.
Well, open it. Open it up.
I am. Here's the glass, boys.
Good. Pour some in. That's swell. Now, fill up yours. There. Well, Happy New Year, Rochester.
Happy New Year, boss, and I hope we'll be together for many more.
I hope so. And here's to it. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind, should old acquaintance be forgot and
food packages have been improved and increased with more meats and fats that mean health to hungry children and families overseas. 22.5 pounds of life-giving food for $10. Delivery guaranteed. Send your contribution to Nonprofit Care, Los Angeles or New York. That's C-A-R-E, Care, Los Angeles or New York. Jack will be back in a moment, but first...
LS, MFT. Yes, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco, ripe, light tobacco that always smokes smooth and mild. That's why there's never a rough puff in a Lucky. Now, fine tobacco like this costs more, and at the tobacco auctions, Luckies pay more, millions of dollars more than official parity prices, for light, mellow leaf that gives you a smoother, milder, altogether finer cigarette every puff of the way.
No doubt about it, friends. Luckies give you more. More smoothness and mildness. More real deep-down smoking enjoyment. So light up a Lucky and enjoy the mellow taste of truly fine tobacco. From first puff to last, there's never a rough puff in a Lucky. Good reason to make your next carton Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed. So free and easy on the draw.
Ladies and gentlemen, to all my listeners everywhere, a very happy and prosperous New Year from me, Jack Benny.
And from me, Mary Livingston.
And from me, Don Wilson.
And from me, Dennis Day.
And from me, Rochester.
And from Phil Harris.
He's not grammatical, folks, but he's sincere. Good night, all.
Be sure to hear Dennis Day and the Day in the Life of Dennis Day. Stay tuned for the Amos Manny Show, which follows immediately. Transcribed at the CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.